Ramadi. Secretary of Defense Ash Carter suggested they would likely need help from another U.S. escalation to finish the job. Carter told the Senate Armed Services Committee that the U.S. was prepared to send attack helicopters as well as to embed advisor ground troops into Iraqi units invading the city if Prime Minister Haider Abadi approves of such moves. Such approval would be difficult for Abadi to grant as he is facing growing disquiet from the number of ground troops already present in Iraq, and the military's claim to have everything in hand, despite likely being bluster, would make it difficult to justify the move. On Tuesday, Iraq's military claimed to have captured 60% of the city and pledged to have the rest in short order. The reports on Wednesday have not suggested much new territory taken and have emphasized celebrations by the troops over the territory already gained. In the wake of the tragedy in San Bernardino, American Muslims have come together to give back in an inspiring way. Housed on the crowdsourcing platform LaunchGood, over $164,000 has been raised in only 5 days for the families of the 14 dead and 21 wounded San Bernardino victims. In the words of the organizers, "We wish to respond to evil with good as our faith instructs us. Donate at launchgood.com/SB." Reuters reports a U.S. federal judge dismissed a request by Texas shortly after it was filed on Wednesday seeking a restraining order to block the imminent entry into the state of 9 Syrian refugees, saying the evidence presented was largely speculative hearsay. This is the second attempt by the government of Texas to seek immediate court help to halt the refugees, with Texas saying the U.S. government had not met its legal obligation to consult with local officials about the resettlement. The Texas action came after the U.S. Republican presidential frontrunner Donald Trump touched off a global firestorm by saying that Muslims should be denied entry into the United States. The results of this case could determine whether the governors of more than 30 states will be able to go through with plans to bar local resettlement of Syrian refugees. A previous attempt for a temporary restraining order was dropped last week by the Texas government. The move came hours after the U.S. Justice Department filed a brief at the U.S. District Court in Dallas saying the federal government and not the states sets U.S. policy on immigration. After the November 13th attacks in Paris, for which the group the Islamic State claimed responsibility, Texas Governor Greg Abbott was one of the first governors to seek to block on security grounds the resettlement of Syrians into his state. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports as a Friday deadline looms for Congress to get a new spending bill passed and avert a government shutdown, lawmakers are trying to push that cutoff to the middle of next week. On Wednesday, House Appropriations Committee Chairman Hal Rogers introduced a measure to postpone the deadline until Wednesday, December 16th. The House and Senate continue to work towards a new omnibus spending bill to fund the government and avoid a shutdown. On Tuesday, House Speaker Paul Ryan indicated that lawmakers may not be able to get it done by Friday when funding expires. President Barack Obama said through a White House spokesman that he is open to extending the deadline for a few days to allow lawmakers to finalize a deal, but nothing beyond that. Part of the delay in getting a new spending bill passed is due to the riders tacked onto the $1.1 trillion bill. White House Press Secretary Josh Earnest said the president is not going to sign a piece of legislation to give them more time to negotiate on a set of ideological riders. Those riders should not be part of the process. Lawmakers are expected to vote on the stopgap measure Friday, just hours before the midnight deadline. Congress was supposed to depart on their annual holiday break on Friday, but passage of the spending bill might require lawmakers to delay their travel plans by a few days. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Florida officials announced today its plan to experiment with new 600-lever voting machines.
The machine operates through a very straightforward process that we think is going to give Floridians the peace of mind that their votes will be counted. The voter turns on the machine using these 30 levers at the top and then enters their names and social security numbers using the alphanumeric levers near the bottom here. Right about now, the voter's going to have to find the 2 levers on the machine that are exactly identical and pull them at the same time. then they're going to have to...
The new 22-foot-tall steam-powered machines, which officials are hailing as, quote, the future of voting, each feature over 45 separate panels of levers, along with an intricate series of valves, knobs, cranks, and pumps, all designed to streamline the electoral process.
Now, some of this may seem confusing, but every voter will be given a comprehensive 2,200-page manual when they enter their precinct that will explain exactly what to do.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live. It's the live Thursday edition. And here on Free Talk Live, well, you can call in, you can talk about anything that's on your mind. We do bring things to the table, though. And I got to say that I'm a little stunned by this particular story. It's out of Vegas. As a matter of fact, the church that they show in this newscast, I've actually been to. And, well, I'm going to play some of the audio for you here.
Really? That I was unaware of. That's really...
That I've been there?
Yeah, that you've been there. That's cool.
It's actually the place I like to stay in Vegas is just behind this particular church.
Well, all right.
Yeah, it's off the strip and therefore significantly less costly. And it's just a much bigger area. So let's go ahead and give it a shot here.
Worshiping to the idols. Protesters hit churches across the valley, interrupting services.
Parishioners are terrified after scenes like this one played out at several Catholic churches by people who call themselves ex-Muslims turned Christians.
That's right. They enter the churches.
So these guys are popping into churches. They've done 3 so far.
Right.
And they're walking up and down the aisle, interrupting Mass in this
Catholic
case.
churches.
Is it specifically Catholic churches?
Yes.
Okay. Mass, and they're basically saying that the Pope is Satan, Mary is Satan, and it's pretty weird stuff, disturbing people's services. But what it reminds me of is, well, in the 1650s, this is how Quakers got started. There was a state religion at the time in England called the Anglican Church. At the time, they just called it Church of England, and
that's still the official state religion in England.
Yeah, I think you can. It's a state religion in the sense that they still call it a state religion, but no other sense.
It's run by the government.
Is it?
In the UK, yes.
So they get a tithe? They get money that way? Because they used to get a tithe.
Possibly.
Okay. I don't know what the specifics are of the Church of England, but there you go. And I guess it's one thing if you have to pay in, if you're forced to tithe, as they were in the 1650s, to the church. Whereas in this case, these Catholics, no one's got to tithe to their church. You don't have to go there. But these people are popping in and deciding they're going to mess things up. Let's go on.
During Mass, shouting that Catholics need to repent now or else. Action News has team coverage on this video. We begin with Action News anchor Jackie Heinrich, who's live tonight at Our Lady of Las Vegas Catholic Church, where this happened just days ago. Jackie.
Steve, Tricia, these are the same people you might have seen on the Strip with their big signs and their megaphones working as street preachers. Well, the difference here is preaching on the streets a lot different than going into a house of worship during their services and causing a disturbance. It's caused a lot of these parishioners to actually fear for their lives.
Mary statue and idols.
The parishioners in the pews, many frozen in disbelief.
That's a bunch of bullcrap bigotry. But
well, you realize that most, like a lot of Americans are bigoted in that way.
I suppose you could think in the first.
And to be honest, if I were in a building, a crowded, area, or in an area that's enclosed with a lot of other people, and a bunch of Muslims came in and started angrily yelling, I would be a little bigoted and concerned, because that's just sensible prejudgment.
Okay, so let me ask this question. If you were in a building that was somewhat crowded and anyone came in and started yelling, would you have the same response, or would it only be because, this person's a Muslim?
I would be more concerned if it were a Muslim person yelling. But it depends on the type of yelling, but I would be more immediately worried, let's say,
if it was somebody that looked like they were probably Muslim.
Yeah, I don't know what these guys could do or say to soften their message to the point that I would be in the first 10 seconds thinking that they were trying to save my soul. Like, I guess that if just their very act of walking into the church and yelling whatever they're yelling makes me think this is a robbery. Right? Like they've gotten all of us here and they're going to rob us. And that's what I would think in the first 10 seconds. Now, and
I can tell you, and here's some more prejudgment for you. I can tell you that if I've been in places before, and let's say that they're not necessarily Muslim looking, but they are, or Islamic or Arabic or whatever. I've been in places before where, I'm trying to put this sort of gently, but where black folk have come in and started yelling, and it's mostly, my prejudgment would be that it's something promotional. And that's been my experience in the past. Like, we've got a rap album or come get this thing, because my experience with, essentially, I guess my experience with black folk yelling has been on the streets of New York, where it's typically, guys promoting their singles.
I like to see the little shows that that folks will do on the side of the
exactly that
road.
Type of thing.
But at that point, they're just trying to get a crowd together. If I'm sitting in church,
but I would imagine even if it were in a church, that would be like, if I were to see that happen, be like, yo, pay attention to this. We need to promote this thing to you. That's what I would generally assume, unless it's very clearly angrily yelling, which is exactly what's going on with this, Islamic or
let's go on with it here.
Formerly Islamic folks
invade their mass to pass out literature and shout that they're worshiping in the wrong way.
Repent and turn to Jesus Christ. You must be born again. Pope is a Satan. Pope is a Satan. Mary's statue is a Satan.
These videos taken by the very people passing out the pamphlets and shouting during mass, in at least 3 incidents confirmed by.
Well, but not the great Satan.
Their dogma leaves a little bit desired, right? Like Satan's the name of an individual as opposed to a devil. But okay, I guess I'm willing to let that go to English not as a primary language, and
they probably meant idol.
Yep,
not Satan or devil.
Pope isn't an idol. You might make the argument that the Pope is an antichrist, if that's what if you're attempting to make this argument, that's about all you could do. Clearly,
I'm sorry. The Pope. When you just said Pope isn't an idol, I'm just imagining the television show Rome Idol. They sing and dance.
No, so I will try to make the argument here, and I'm not necessarily saying that I believe the argument, but the argument is that if you're praying to someone other than God, you're praying to an idol. And there are some Catholics that will pray to the Pope to ask for blessings. They will pray to Mary to ask for blessings.
Idols are specifically graven images. And you can't pray to a person and that be a graven image. It's
what
something
about
else.
Toast Jesus. Does that become a graven image? Is it graven by the toast?
I think that you're just Jesus. You're delighted. If you're a Christian, you're delighted that you have been blessed by the toast
Jesus. If you are praying to the toast because it has a picture of what you believe to be the Messiah, then yes, that piece of toast becomes an idol.
There is the word idol in pareidolia, so
not sure what pareidolia is.
Pareidolia is anything like these weird things like toast Jesus and the dog whose behind looks like Jesus. And,
that's a good one.
Yeah,
here we go.
Police, the Diocese of Las Vegas confirming, quote, multiple disturbances at several of their properties.
Stop worshiping to the idols. Idols not going to save you. You need Jesus Christ. You need the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
The disturbances documented, then posted online to the group's YouTube page, Kusha Las Vegas.
The Catholics that invented the Trinity.
Yeah, I'd say that's accurate.
They kind of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit's kind of their jam.
Yeah, the Trinity is a very early argument in the church, and it was one of the biggest problems in the unification of the church. Is God
it sounds like he's kind of arguing against himself. Like he almost sounded really stupid there, right? Because if you're Christian, just regular Christian, you don't have the Trinity. You don't have the Father, the Son, Holy Spirit. You have the Son. period.
Well, okay.
Right?
Well, I would not.
I don't know.
I'm not getting into this murky argument with you. That's for sure. I mean, you'll just take the back door.
Listeners can always just call in.
You'll just take the back door out once I get you, and you'll be like, well, that's stupid anyway. Bam, and you'll be out the door.
Every denomination of Christian church I've ever gone to, they do talk about the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Now, there are certain denominations that will emphasize one over the other, but they all three, or they all teach all three.
All I know is Don McClain told me they took the last train for the coast.
What are your thoughts on people going into churches trying to save people's souls? 855-450-3733. Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE.
I walk my dog every day, and I've got the best-looking dog in the neighborhood named Stanley. He's a collie mix. We meet the same people every day. They'll tell me, oh, he's so soft, and he's so silky. And these dogs that have the brittle hair, it's coarse. It doesn't lay nice. It's not shiny. It's dull. I tell them about Dinovite.
DINOVITE.com.
859-428-1000.
The omega-3 fatty acids.
Flaxseed, zinc, alfalfa.
The digestive enzymes that are cooked out of regular dog food.
Sundance's coat was shiny and glossy the way it had when she was a puppy.
We get asked all the time at shows, how do you get your dog so healthy and shiny and glossy?
It didn't take very long. They've got their nice, expensive jogging suit on, and their dog has their smooth, beautiful, soft, shiny coat. So now their dog looks just as good as they do.
859-428-1000.
859-428-1000.
DINOVITE.com.
Did you know that home break-ins increase more than 100% during the holidays? It takes just 10 seconds for an intruder to kick in your door, but police response to a home alarm system is more than 20 minutes, and intruders are in and out of your home in 5 minutes. Thieves know that you're not home and have presents inside just waiting to be taken. And if you are home, how safe will you feel with an intruder lurking inside with your family? That's why police across the country are recommending you use Door Armor. Proven to withstand the force of a battering ram, Door Armor keeps intruders out. It's easy to install and barely visible, and your Door Armor is guaranteed for life. Go to InvasionStopper.com for a very special buy one, get one at half-off deal. These savings are for a limited time and only available to GCN listeners. Protect your valuables and loved ones this holiday season. Go to InvasionStopper.com now. That's InvasionStopper.com.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate it 5 stars, then share the link on social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm. That's apps.lrn.fm.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Nestle Pure Life Water, helping you drink better and live better by providing a zero-calorie alternative to sugary drinks. Visit us at nestle-purelife.us. When kids are playing, they often don't want to stop to keep hydrated, so send them out with a bottle of water and encourage them to take frequent drink breaks, or call them inside for a quick sip. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
Listen to LRN.FM on any phone, anytime. 213-493-0309. That's 213-493-0309.
Okay, Free Talk Live. You can call in, you can talk about whatever you want to talk about, but we are talking about the situation where these Christians are going into church and disturbing other Christians' church services by preaching the word of God and telling them their Christianity isn't Christian enough or something like that.
Now here's another religious question for you. Are Catholics Christians?
They say they are.
They are, certainly.
A lot of other Christians say that they are not.
855-450-3733. Your thoughts, I suppose, are Catholics Christians. 855-450-FREE.
So to answer Johnson's question real quick, where you said about do most other Christians say that Catholics aren't Christians, Baptists will argue that Methodists aren't really Christians because they're not doing it the right way. They don't fully submerge people when they baptize. They only sprinkle water.
You have to remember, I think they're all crazy. So, like I come from the position where it's like, yeah, anybody with an imaginary friend,
well, that's why that's why atheists are so much fun to bring to the party. So the best religious zinger ever was A River Runs Through It, where the
Never saw it.
Well, you don't have to see the movie; you could read the book.
I saw the movie a long time ago.
The Presbyterian minister is doing the narration. He says, they're Methodists. It's like Baptists, only they can read. I grew up in the WASP section of town. There's no doubt about it, and that's where my religious education comes from. But Catholics, they believe in Jesus. That makes them Christian. Enough said, as far as I'm concerned. I'm not interested in that particular.
Well, wait a minute.
All right, go ahead.
Wait just a minute, because don't both, I believe Muslims and Jews also both believe in Jesus.
Yeah, they believe Jesus is their savior. He is the Christ incarnate. And so that's all it takes. Christ is a title.
Muslims believe that Yeshua, which is the Aramaic name for who people call Jesus, Muslims believe that Yeshua was a prophet. Some Jews believe that Yeshua was a prophet. Others do not.
Don't they also believe that Muhammad is a prophet?
I don't imagine that any Jews
The
believe
Jews
that.
or the Muslims?
Not the Muslims.
Oh, yeah. Yes,
right,
absolutely.
like that's one of the core tenets of Islam is that Muhammad was like the last prophet.
Yeah, he was clarifying some issues. I think to some extent just the tension between those three religions, the religions of the book, have driven the Muslims more into Muhammad than probably they would necessarily need to be, because Muhammad was just attempting to clarify prophets that had come before on issues specifically having to do with the Trinity and the unity. So the argument, the Trinity that you were making earlier, Darryl, that the Trinity won is arguably false, that the Unitarians won in the form of Muslims, that the religion of the book, let's just call this Judeo-Christian religion, was refined into the Unitarians, were brought into the Muslim sphere. Now, there are Unitarian Christians out there, and they believe that there is only one God. They kind of lost the theological battle in the first couple of centuries of Christianity.
And one thing that's interesting about the first couple of centuries of Christianity is the early Christians considered themselves to be the actual Jews. Yes. And they went into synagogue, and they would do things similar to what these Christians are doing in Mass.
This is what I find so fascinating, is that there is a lot of historical precedent for what these nut jobs are doing. Okay, so they're going into people's service and scaring them. They are scaring them. I mean, how long they're scared for is really up to their own common sense. But in the first few minutes, it's like these young men are yelling, and that's going to be pretty scary. It's like, is this a robbery? And then they're preaching their version of Christianity.
And they're former Muslims, so they're, running to the church and they're like, Jesus, Hu Akbar.
They're doing that, but it's funny.
They were speaking English, not Arabic.
Well, English, debatable English. And but the Quakers did this too. So I want to tell two stories. First off, George Fox, the creator of the Quakers, the founder of the Quaker religion, he would go into Anglican churches and attempt to stand up and preach over the priest in that circumstance, and this got him tossed in jail more than once. Another guy, I believe his name is Richard Naylor. I didn't have a chance to look it up during the break. I wasn't really thinking to. But this guy would smeared himself in feces and laid down on the altar to show his how sullied he is before God. And he rode into London on a donkey and had his followers or his helpers wave pine boughs as he did so.
So is that supposed to be some sort of like mocking of the Palm Sunday sort of thing?
I don't know if I doubt very seriously it's mocking it, but I think that this guy actually thought, like he's a Koreshian essentially, like thought he was Jesus reincarnate would be my guess.
Okay, so he was reenacting Palm Sunday with pine trees instead of palm trees.
Yes, that's correct. And what it got him for his
palm trees in England.
What it got for his trouble was a hot awl stuck through his tongue and a bee carved into his forehead and 3 years of hard labor that quote unquote broke his body. So
what did the B stand for?
Blasphemer.
Ah, okay.
And so yeah, I mean they didn't treat that particularly well in England in the 1640s.
Parishioners we talked to were initially scared because of the recent climate of terrorism, and the group makes clear many members are Muslims turned Christian. And although they're preaching the word of Christ to other Christians, to be told this,
your religion not going to save you,
they said was unsettling. And it's not just happening at church. The same group posted a protest outside Bishop Gorman.
If you look at the Catechism of the Catholic Church and you look at Scripture, you know why God hates this religious system.
So unsettling to some parents, they tried to dismantle it, honking their horns. The man in the video saying,
the demon is angry, guys. The demons are angry.
Angry demons. So, okay. It is a natural human inclination. They've actually done studies on this to dislike protesters. And I dislike these protesters, I've got to say. However, I've got some good friends and a business partner who thinks that it's a good idea to go to people's schools and yell things through bullhorns and hand out pamphlets. Right. So I guess I have to take this to some extent seriously.
I mean, it would be weird if these guys went into the church though with like the signs like the Westboro Baptist. You know, it would be weird for these guys though to go in to this church with signs like saying, "God hates Mary." God hates.
Well, they've got
the
plenty
Pope.
of signs. Most of their signs appear to be sort of pro-Christianity as opposed to anti-Catholic.
Right.
But they definitely, and I can assure you that when I, the period of time in my life when I was into sort of the holiness Christianity, they didn't like Catholics at all. Like that was the supposition that the Pope was the Antichrist was trotted more than once. It was difficult for me to believe that Pope John Paul, who just kind of sat there and breathed heavily, was the Antichrist. But okay,
I think it would be real easy if you were sitting in traffic in Philadelphia or New York when he visited recently to think that he was the Antichrist.
Well, what about when you're in St. Louis and they stop and Black Lives Matter protesters stop the traffic?
Well.
Then, who's the Antichrist then?
I'm not arguing your point. I'm just saying.
There you go. 855-450-3733. What do you think about this? Christians going into church preaching Christianity has historical precedent, but man, oh man, I got to say, it rubs me the wrong way. 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE, Free Talk Live.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
Ammo is getting scarce in this country, so it just makes sense to reload your casings. Now with RussianReloads.com. That's right, reload previously unreloadable Berdan primer cartridges by switching them over to an easy-to-do conversion to accept boxer primers with RussianReloads.com. High quality and made in the USA. RussianReloads.com. Recycle that casing.
uncovering the secrets and exposing the lies. That's what the readers of freedomsphoenix.com get every day. freedomsphoenix.com, constantly providing the information, the real news about government policies, and the real relationship we all have with the coercive government, the real condition of the economy, innovations in technology, breakthroughs in energy, health, and computer science. Learn the truth well before it's admitted to in the lamestream media. The corporate media, nothing more than distributors of government propaganda, but now there's an alternative. freedomsphoenix.com. Constant news updates on the issues that affect your life in the most important ways. With liberty and property under constant attack, freedomsphoenix.com provides the understanding behind the propaganda, and it encourages the participation of its readers. Go to freedomsphoenix.com. That's freedoms with an S, phoenix.com. freedomsphoenix.com. The revolution between the ears has already happened.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Wednesday, gold is up $6 at $1,082 per ounce. Silver is 15 cents higher at $14.35 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $420 US. We have the lowest price Australian spiders and koalas I've seen on the web. If you find them cheaper, we'll match that price and ship for free. Give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. The number is 855-450-3733. Talking about some incidences, some protests that are going on in Catholic churches in and around Las Vegas, where Christian protesters go into the church and attempt to tell the other Christians that they're not doing it right and that they need to be saved in order to go to heaven or something to that effect. And it's pretty clear that they're passionate about their beliefs. Everybody's passionate about some belief, and if you're passionate about the ideas of liberty, let me tell you where you can get some great bumper stickers. Because, maybe you can convince somebody about the ideas of liberty with a witty, poignant, pithy, or sometimes downright bombastic bumper sticker that you get from libertystickers.com. You can just check out their vast selection. It is worth it just to go and read through their little sayings there, little bumper stickers. It's awesome. You may find one that you like. I liked Barack Obama's fired more cruise missiles than all other Peace Prize winners combined. I also enjoyed here's why the wars will never stop, because the people that pay the politicians are making a killing off of all that killing. Those are just two that I can think of off the top of my head. I'm literally not looking at the computer. I just happen to know that I have those two stickers because I like them. LibertyStickers.com. Again, it is LibertyStickers.com.
And if you like a lot of their stickers, you can get a bulk discount. If you buy 100 or more, you get them for 99 cents a piece.
If you've got any kind of like body problems on your vehicle, you can just hold it together with bumper stickers.
Yes.
LibertyStickers.com.
I like this one with a picture of Obama that says #1 gun salesman in history.
He certainly is. Smith & Wesson should send him a check. Glenn, calling from Philly. Glenn, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hello, gentlemen. 2 points really quickly. First of all, as to the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost catching the last train before the coast, as I'm sure you know, Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, and the Big Bopper died in a plane crash in 1959. In the 1972, the song came out in 1970, American Pie, and in the 1972 interview, Don McLean seemed to hint that the three men he admired most might have been the three backup singers for Buddy Holly, known as the Crickets.
It's actually Don McLean released an article this year talking all about the song. You can Google it. I don't know exactly what it is.
That's even better.
Yeah. He actually explained all about what the lyrics of the song were, and yes, I think that's
the backup
accurate.
singers. I mean, what are their names? How do we know?
No, it's actually just not the backup singers, but those three.
The Big Bopper.
No, the band, those three who no. Because and I have to see. Well, he might have meant that, but anyway, if he said he meant that, then that's what he meant. But previous, speculation had hinged on this 72 interview where he spoke about the Crickets, not backup singers. They were co-band members of Buddy Holly.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, he had hinted in an interview and spoken of them, and they were still alive. See, that Buddy Holly had died, and then the idea is the three remaining Crickets, took last train for the coast. But I certainly wouldn't argue with him, But anyway, that's neither here nor there.
Next point.
What I'm surprised about in terms of how you're approaching this church situation is that giving who you are, that you're not appealing more to the notion that the church itself is not the public square.
No, agreed.
The church is a private venue, and and while it is open to the public, it's open in the context of you wouldn't. It's a place where you go to hear what they're saying. Rather, it's not a debate hall. You go there and you observe and listen and decide whether or not you like the message. If you don't like it, you go away.
Okay, so let me rebut that, because I think that this is worth a little bit of see if we can hone this knife just a little bit. So protesters tend to be these fringe individuals, right? And fringe individuals tend to have a different perception than you and I. I agree with what you say regarding what a church is. However, these protesters feel very, very strongly about their beliefs, right? Like they're attempting to save these people's eternal souls. Nothing more valuable could be done in this lifetime if you believe in eternal souls and that they need to be saved. So could they then interpret the mission of the church is to save people's souls? The building is made to the building is constructed in order to further the mission, and they are in fact bringing the truth of how to save one's soul into the church. So they are doing the greater good.
All right, now there are several New Testament instructions that say don't cast your pearls before swine. If you go into a village and you present your message and they don't listen, shake the dust from your feet and go away. There isn't really much New Testament precedent for badgering the tar out of someone who's not interested. You simply go set up your own venue and preach your message and let them compete in the marketplace of ideas.
Yeah, I like. See, it's Glenn. What the difficulty I have here is obviously what you're proposing to do is the reasonable thing to do, but I guess that passion and what is reasonable tend not to meet very well. And one would hope, if one is a Christian, that one takes their Christianity very, very passionately. Otherwise, frankly, in my opinion, you're not a Christian.
Okay, so like next week. All right, so they're here this week, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to try to hold another meeting next week, and next week it's the Pure Land Buddhists who feel passionately about salvation and the Chinbot Bridge.
It's not practical.
The Pure Land Buddhists. Yeah, it's not. It's just doesn't work very well. Market your message to potential buyers. Don't market your message to people who aren't, buyers.
Yep, these same folks go on the streets of Vegas and they preach against alcohol consumption, and as people are staggering by drunk, and they preach against immodesty while women walk by in showgirl outfits, and they preach. I mean, I've got to say, these stalwart, passionate preachers are they're in so many ways interesting to me. Now, I wanted to wade in and have some conversations with them about Christianity. My wife wouldn't. Basically, she's like, if you go there, I'm going back to the room, and you can make it back on your own. And I just decided, well, okay, then I won't go do it. But
most Christians would point out that Paul preached on Mars Hill. He went into Athens. He went on the Mars Hill, and he said, "Guys, I'm here. You guys are always talking about all kinds of gods. I'm here to preach to you an unknown God." He set up his storefront and preached his message, and then did his thing, and that was it.
Yeah, I think that it's the best choice. I still can understand why these guys do what they do, but I mean, it's just so yucky and annoying, and I can't imagine them being very successful. It seems to me that you have to create an atmosphere of positivity around your message as best you can, and then you can convert people to what the specifics are. So first you have to create that emotional connection, and they're not creating emotional connection. They're touching bases, their eternal bases on their way to heaven. Well, I tried to preach to the church, God. I did my very best. That way they can, on Judgment Day, they can say, I did my best. Well, it was a crappy plan from the get-go.
Gotcha. So,
Glenn.
Okay, well, if extra so anymore. Take care. Have a good night.
Yep, thanks so much, Glenn. Appreciate the call.
And Mark, I would say the point you're making goes with any message.
Yes.
You have to, get people to have some sort of connection with what you're trying to say. That's why I often say that, on a lot of issues, people don't really come to the ideas of liberty until they've been touched personally in that area.
Well, this is one of the reasons that I created Free Talk Live, or we created Free Talk Live. I don't want to make it seem like I'm the only one who did this, but one of my original thoughts was certainly I'm not the only one who did it.
I like how Darryl sells this. You may not come to liberty until you're touched personally in that area.
I didn't even get that. So, the idea is that people who feel passionately about things can then bring them into the grist mill, hopefully of rationality, that we bring here on Free Talk Live, and we can talk about it. Now, we're obviously passionate about the ideas of liberty. My co-owner here, co-host Ian, he has gone and done this sort of protesting at schools that this church has done. For the ideas of liberty, intending to bring the message, and probably made people as angry as these folks have made them.
Ian, also known to some as a prophet, peace be upon him.
Your thoughts, 855-450-3733. He's not dead. 855-450-FREE. Hasn't yet been killed.
You can be alive and be a prophet.
Now, peace be upon him, though.
Oh, well.
I was coming out of the hardware store when I saw him. An old man, late 70s, hunched over in the freezing rain. No hat on his head, limping across that slippery parking lot, and pushing a row of shopping carts toward the cart corral. It's heartbreaking. Millions of hardworking Americans simply don't have enough money to retire, so they just keep working and working and working until it's too late. Hi, I'm Chad Stubbs, President and CEO of PowerTrader, and I believe that's just plain wrong. That's why I'm now distributing to the public absolutely free copies of PowerTrader's game-changing book on how regular folks can make the money they need to retire fast. For your free copy, call 1-800-771-6706. Don't let the lack of money rob you of your retirement. Call now for details and get your free copy of this book before it's too late. 1-800-771-6706. But hurry while supplies last. 1-800-771-6706. 1-800-771-6706.
My name is Bill Bonner, and I have an important message. Right now, the highest levels of government are struggling against an inevitable crisis, but they're about to lose control. When this happens, it will rip our country apart in ways you never imagined, from where we shop to the family you want to protect. Look, I've made predictions like this before. A few years ago, I warned that the housing prices would collapse. Before that, I warned that .com companies would crash, and they did. Those who listened had a chance to save themselves, but this has nothing to do with the stock market. This will affect us all. I've posted a free video at disappearingwealth.com. Maybe you'll disagree with my conclusions, but first you need to watch this video and see the facts for yourself. You can watch the video for free right now by going to disappearingwealth.com. Again, that's disappearingwealth.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
Are you a political activist who does things that the government might not like? Then this free ebook may save your life. Rats is your guide to protecting yourself against snitches, informers, informants, agents provocateurs, narcs, finks, and similar vermin. Rats was written by OG libertarian Claire Wolfe. Rats is a short book, easy to read, and available free in many formats. Download Rats free at rats-nosnitch.com. That's rats-nosnitch.com.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. It's Mark with you.
Darryl. And Johnson.
You can give us a call at 855-450-3733. We're talking about these Christian protesters that are disturbing Catholic masses, preaching what they consider to be the proper word of God during other people's church services. And, you know, I got to say, it doesn't thrill me. I don't like it much. Clearly, it's private property and private property violation. But at the same time, they're attempting to. They believe that they know the right message and that they've got that the importance of their message supersedes the property rights. And so I'm sort of interested in looking at the situation. While I was comparing it to a historical situation, the Quakers, there were a couple, it was just coming off the top of my head. I do apologize. I got a couple of factual things wrong. So I said Richard Naylor was an early Quaker preacher. In fact, it's James Naylor. Here from the Wikipedia article, James Naylor.
James Naylor probably you would not have wanted to tackle him.
Because he was covered in feces.
Right.
Well,
Whereas
not
Richard Naylor is a football player.
Not necessarily at that all the time. Yes. So English Quaker leader. He was among the members of the Valiant 60, a group of early Quaker preachers and missionaries. At the peak of his career, he preached against enclosure, which is the nobility owning land. So he's a digger. And the slave trade. In 1656, Naylor achieved national notoriety when he reenacted Christ's entry into Jerusalem by entering Bristol, I said London, on a donkey. He was imprisoned and charged with blasphemy. That resulted in the B being carved into his forehead and a hot awl stuck through his tongue. They did not take blasphemy lightly in England in 1656. Going to Doug in Illinois. Doug, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, I actually had a completely different viewpoint, or not viewpoint, but thought that popped into my head. A while back, my family and I were talking about the issue that I will not ever get up for the pledge. You know, I will not pledge loyalty to the American government. I will not pledge loyalty to a cloth, and I do not believe that God should be in government.
Many Christians feel the same way, including Amish, Mennonites, Jehovah's Witnesses, and many Quakers.
So wait, how do you feel about the "In God We Trust" being added to the money in the 50s?
I'm going to get around to that. That too. I mean, I don't believe that should be there. Now, to be clear, I'm not claiming that I am a non-believer. I'm open to there being a deity. However, you know, the court ruled that you can keep God on the money, that you can keep God in the pledge, and like the majority of the crap that the court will rule on, they get it wrong. I mean, I love how people, you know, claim, well, the court ruled that way, therefore, you know, they're the almighty being. They ruled on it. They're correct. The majority of what the court will rule on, they get wrong. I mean, if I remember correctly, they were not for the freedom of black people either. They were not for
right. Plessy versus Ferguson came before the Brown versus Topeka, Kansas. I mean, school board
by about 60 years.
Right. So I mean, you know, they were for free. They were against freedom for black people before they were for it. This is one of the things that just sort of shows that the court can't possibly look at the constitutionality of an issue. They have to look at things from a standpoint of sort of a popular view of the issues, which it negates the whole purpose of them in the first place.
Correct. And, you know, to get to the point of why I called in, you know, I immediately had my family come back to me. Well, you know, if we could only make a de facto, theocratic government here where we got rid of all you non-believing people, everything would be fine. We could all live in harmony. Well, right here, you have one branch of a religion fighting with another branch of a religion. No matter what you have happen, you're going to have a group of people try to take control. And that could be the whole issue. You have nobody believing in liberty and freedom anymore. You have everybody trying to, you know.
There was a time, especially in the United States, where different communities would the communities would be based around the church. So it would be the rare instance where people were scattered amongst each other, but in many of the smaller towns, they'd have one church. That church would be whatever type of church it was, and everybody around that church would be that particular type of person. So they actually didn't integrate. They just lived in different towns of their particular religion. So whether they were Congregationalists or whether they were Methodists or whatever, they'd have their own particular little towns, and they'd do things that way. In the bigger cities, obviously, it was not as easy to do that, but they were still within walking distance of their church.
And I've heard of small towns where they would only have one church building, but different congregations would use it on different Sundays. So there would be like one Sunday that it was the Baptist, and the next Sunday it was the Methodist, and the week after that it was the Pentecostals.
If you hear the term united when they talk about a church, because often the First United Church of Keene or something like that, you hear that terminology, that's what you're talking about. Because united doesn't speak about a religion, it speaks about some people who didn't have enough money to build two buildings, is basically what it was, or maintain two buildings. In some cases, churches would, with too small of a congregation, would shut down, repurpose the building for something else, and then they would move into another congregation. So relatively common in U.S. history for people to be kind of separated along religious lines, Doug.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I think the whole point that I'm trying to make here can be that I have people in my family who, you know, which, by the way, again, I'm not a non-believer, but they think of me being a non-believer for the fact that I don't go to any type of group at church. You know, if I'm not one of the sheep, therefore I'm put into the category of a non-believer.
What do you think about these Christians going into this Catholic church preaching their stuff while people are trying to have Mass?
I'm all for private property. Private property can be the one thing we're having trampled over more and more and more. They should tell them to get the hell out. I mean, you can't go into a building you don't own and make a whole bunch of havoc.
I don't think the Catholics could do any more damage to these people than they've already done to themselves. This news story comes out, and they just look insane. Thanks for the call, Doug. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE.
They need to send these protesters home and have them do 50 Hail Marys.
The protesters? Yeah, well, I don't think that's going to...
You don't think that's going to happen? I don't think so.
I don't. I guess the one thing, I'm trying to remain as open as I can. This is something I attempt to do, right? Like, I think the world's full of idiots, and I know that I know I'm wrong, right? Like, I can't always be right because I've changed my mind in the past. So therefore, I have to remain open to other opinions. But I admire these guys' passion, but that's about it. I mean, I think that their tactics stink, their strategy stinks, and they're really not bringing people together. This is, I guess, Christians in this way are probably, the firm believer Christians are probably similar to libertarians in that they want to talk, oh, you're a Christian? I'm a Christian. That's really, really awesome. What is it that you believe on this? And they're looking for that niggling one little point that they can make that the other person disagrees with. Because I certainly saw this, at least when I was into the Christian community. It wasn't so much with the older folks or the ladies, but then again, I was spending my time talking to young males. It was the young males that were attempting to do that.
I don't know. I think it's important to be open to good ideas and not open to bad ideas. And it's just, it's not about being right all the time. It's just about not being so open that your brain falls out because you're open to everything, including very, very stupid ideas.
Jim calling in from Hibbing, I think it's Hibbing, Montana. Jim, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Oh, hi. This is Jim from Hibbing. I called in last night.
Yes, about name calling, and I thought of you as I called names to these professors or these protesters. Go ahead.
Okay. One thing I just want to upfront. I don't pick up the radio station very well, so I was traveling last night. So after you hung up the phone on me and called me a couple names, I didn't get to listen to the rest of the conversation. But I've got one question. I would like to, blind and possibly deaf, click.
Oh, I see. That wasn't me.
Okay, that was.
Yeah, I got you now. But I remember.
Okay. So my question would be, so who was the one that did that to me last night?
That's Ian. He's off tonight.
Oh, wow. Well, that's good. To be honest with you, it seemed like maybe he needed a little rest. But my question would be that I had for him, and of course he can't answer it, would be that if I went out to this Free State Project in Keene, New Hampshire, and I stood up in a free talk forum similar to the phone or the radio talk show that I called into last night, and I disagreed with him like I did last night, not very much, but slightly, would he then proceed to call me blind and deaf, shut off my microphone, and remove me from the conversation?
He couldn't do that. Ian's not by any stretch of the imagination some kind of cult leader or something like that. He has no ability to do that. You would be as an equal in the Free State Project, which is all across New Hampshire, not just Keene, New Hampshire.
Right.
You would be an equal to Ian in that way?
I guess the reason for that question would be to try to get Ian to understand that you can't preach free talk and preach out of one side of your mouth and then cut somebody off and accuse them of something that they're not and then hang up the phone on them.
Well, to some extent, a talk show host has to be controversial, and I appreciate where you're coming from, Jim. I thought it was unwise, but again, I don't have control of the buttons. I do thank you for the call, and I'm going to have to cut you off because we're coming up here. 855-450 Free Talk Live.
Dr. Ngozi Obi is an emerging American author of Nigerian descent who's published 2 novels with an inspirational message. A third is in the works. Her first novel, Love's Destiny, follows Naira, a somewhat naive young woman, in a gripping tale of love lost and found. Her second novel, When Dreams and Visions Collide, follows Fern and friends as they discover what it takes to realize a dream and the true meaning of unconditional love. Dr. Obi's books are available where books are sold and ladyofdestiny.com.
As a pioneer of the e-commerce movement, Overstock.com is proud to be the first major retailer to accept Bitcoin. Overstock was the first because Patrick Byrne, Overstock's CEO and founder, firmly believes in personal freedom and cryptocurrency. Over the past 16 years, Overstock has furnished over 18 million homes with a diverse line of products to suit everyone's unique styles and preferences. Support Overstock and freedom of choice while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more.
If you want to move to the Free State and you're looking for some real estate.
Oof, I think we've all had enough of that jingle, don't you? If you're going to invest in property in New Hampshire, it just makes sense to support a Liberty-friendly realtor. Call Mark Warden of Team Porcupine Real Estate for investment property or rentals in the Free State, or visit his website. Come on, you know it.
PorcupineRealestate.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that tenth of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene and the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Thursday, December 10th, 2015. Silver is trading at $14.17 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,072 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $419. Antiwar.com reports, though the Iraqi military is continuing to insist they're achieving a quick sweeping victory over the Islamic State in the Anbar province capital of Ramadi, Secretary of Defense Ash Carter suggested they would likely need help from another U.S. escalation to finish the job. Carter told the Senate Armed Services Committee that the U.S. was prepared to send attack helicopters as well as to embed advisor ground troops into Iraqi units invading the city if Prime Minister Haider Abadi approves of such moves. Such approval would be difficult for Abadi to grant as he is facing growing disquiet from the number of ground troops already present in Iraq, and the military's claim to have everything in hand, despite likely being bluster, would make it difficult to justify the move. On Tuesday, Iraq's military claimed to have captured 60% of the city and pledged to have the rest in short order. The reports on Wednesday have not suggested much new territory taken and have emphasized celebrations by the troops over the territory already gained. In the wake of the tragedy in San Bernardino, American Muslims have come together to give back in an inspiring way. Housed on the crowdsourcing platform Launch Good, over $164,000 has been raised in only 5 days for the families of the 14 dead and 21 wounded San Bernardino victims. In the words of the organizers, we wish to respond to evil with good as our faith instructs us. Donate at launchgood.com/SB. Reuters reports a U.S. federal judge dismissed a request by Texas shortly after it was filed on Wednesday seeking a restraining order to block the imminent entry into the state of 9 Syrian refugees, saying the evidence presented was largely speculative hearsay. This is the second attempt by the government of Texas to seek immediate court help to halt the refugees, with Texas saying the U.S. government had not met its legal obligation to consult with local officials about the resettlement. The Texas action came after the U.S. Republican presidential frontrunner Donald Trump touched off a global firestorm by saying that Muslims should be denied entry into the United States. The results of this case could determine whether the governors of more than 30 states will be able to go through with plans to bar local resettlement of Syrian refugees. A previous attempt for a temporary restraining order was dropped last week by the Texas government. The move came hours after the U.S. Justice Department filed a brief at the U.S. District Court in Dallas saying the federal government and not the states sets U.S. policy on immigration. After the November 13th attacks in Paris, for which the group the Islamic State claimed responsibility, Texas Governor Greg Abbott was one of the first governors to seek to block on security grounds the resettlement of Syrians into his state. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports as a Friday deadline looms for Congress to get a new spending bill passed and avert a government shutdown, lawmakers are trying to push that cutoff to the middle of next week. On Wednesday, House Appropriations Committee Chairman Hal Rogers introduced a measure to postpone the deadline until Wednesday, December 16th. The House and Senate continue to work towards a new omnibus spending bill to fund the government and avoid a shutdown. On Tuesday, House Speaker Paul Ryan indicated that lawmakers may not be able to get it done by Friday when funding expires. lawmakers. President Barack Obama said through a White House spokesman that he is open to extending the deadline for a few days to allow lawmakers to finalize a deal, but nothing beyond that. Part of the delay in getting a new spending bill passed is due to the riders tacked onto the $1.1 trillion bill. White House Press Secretary Josh Earnest said the president is not going to sign a piece of legislation to give them more time to negotiate on a set of ideological riders. Those riders should not be part of the process. Lawmakers are expected to vote on the stopgap measure Friday, just hours before the midnight deadline. Congress was supposed to depart on their annual holiday break on Friday, but passage of the spending bill might require lawmakers to delay their travel plans by a few days. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Odds are, if you've looked outside recently, you've noticed that all dogs everywhere are running. Scientists can't explain why all over the world, dogs of every breed are running nonstop. I'm joined now by animal behavior expert Dr. Charles Davenport. Charles, what can you tell us?
All we know for sure is that the dogs are running fast.
But we don't know why the dogs are running?
There are a few reasons that dogs normally run, because they're excited or scared, or they see something they want far away, or because they're happy. However, usually, they don't run at the same time or in the same direction.
Do we have any idea where the dogs are running?
West. All the dogs are running west.
Do we expect the dogs to ever stop running?
We don't know. Animal behavior can evolve over time. Maybe running forever is just what the dogs do now.
Dr. Davenport, is there any chance that the running dogs are somehow related to last night's blue meteor shower, or the fact that horses are screaming?
Inconclusive.
Well, please keep us posted. Up next, where are all the children?
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live, and you can call in and talk about whatever is on your mind. It's Mark with you.
Darryl.
And Johnson.
The last hour we were talking about, well, these protesters that are going into Catholic churches around the Las Vegas area, and they're preaching in the church while the priest is trying to preach. And it is disturbing, as you can imagine, the Catholic parishioners in those churches. And they're, of course, threatening them with hell and a variety of things that, one might threaten one with while one is talking about one's immortal soul. So let's go to Tim calling in from Wyoming. Tim, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind? Tim, you're on Free Talk Live. What is on your mind, sir?
Hello. Now
Hey, I hear you now.
You connected with me. Okay, good. I was hearing you talk about these protesters just now, but I heard it earlier too. But I think what they're doing essentially is what I heard. They're coming in and saying that you're worshiping the idols, the idolatrous attitude of the Catholic Church has an idolatrous motif, if you will. There's so many things about the Catholics that they say, well, worship the cross, worship the image of a person hanging on the cross, which nobody knows what Jesus really looked like. So everybody says, oh, it looks like Jesus, or it looks like Mary, or it looks like somebody or some other thing. Nobody knows. Nobody really knows what Jesus looked like. So we always have these representations, and people say, that's Jesus. Oh, it's a picture of Jesus. We don't know that. And I think that that's one of the Catholic's tenets, the Catholic religion's tenets, is that they have an image, they have a picture. And I mean, if you look in a King James Bible, an older King James Bible, a lot of times they'll have paintings. I mean, beautiful paintings, but they're still pictures of people that no one ever met and no one knows what they ever looked like. So
did King James come before or after King Henry VIII? I would thought that King James was part of the Anglican Church, if I can remember. I think King Henry VIII.
1611 when the King James Bible came out.
Yeah, and I think King Henry VIII is like 1585. I can be wrong on this.
It was 15 something.
Okay, so King James was not a Catholic.
Right, but what I'm saying, I'm not saying that the Catholic Bible or not Catholic Bible. I'm saying the King James Bible with the pictures inside of it. A lot of times you'll find Bibles, older Bibles most of the time, that have illustrations in them. When they have illustrations, no one knows, as I said already, no one knows what those people really looked like. I mean,
There's a guy in New
saying-
York that is suing the Metropolitan Museum of Art because he says that he has been that he considers the paintings of the religious paintings in there to be anti-Semitic, racist, and offensive. So
Is it
there
because
you go.
Jesus always looks white?
Jesus is white is what the reason is. Thank you for the call, Tim.
Yeah, there's not really a lot of white people that were born 2,000 years ago in Israel.
There could have been a white Sephardic Jew. What do you mean?
Could have been. Very unlikely. Like I realize that genetics are kind of tricky, but yeah, I don't believe that Jesus was white for 1 second.
Simon, calling in from Texas. Simon, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind, sir?
Hi, good evening, gentlemen. I'm sorry to hear the news about the massacre in the Catholic Church, and I'm a Catholic, and I'm calling to offer to say that Catholics, they do not worship idols, and they do not pray to saints, including Mary.
I thought that, in fact, they did. There was some sort of intercessory situation going on with Mary and saints and stuff like that. I mean, not every Catholic does that, but certainly some sects. There's so many different types of Catholicism out there that some do, right?
You're right. You're exactly right.
Okay.
And what I would like to share is the Catholic view on how they look at it.
Okay. I'd love to hear it.
You know the body of Christ, which consists of people that are here on earth, but this is not the end of it. Also, it extends up to the saints in heaven. They belong to the body of Christ as well.
Okay.
The same way, let's say if I have a sick child, and I approach a Christian and I say, "Would you pray for my child?"
I just saw a Christian do that on Facebook today, and I took a moment to hold him in the light. So, sure, I got you.
Okay, so in this case, not you, but the other Christian I asked to pray for my child, he intercedes in my behalf.
Yep.
And this is exactly why a Catholic person would approach a saint.
Okay.
And they ask for their intercession.
Gotcha.
Because they're closer to Jesus.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that makes sense to me. Fine.
With regard to Mary, in the family of God, Mary is the queen. And it comes from the ancient history where the queen mother, the mother of the king was the queen.
Oh, is that so?
And
okay.
It's because the king back then had very many wives. Nowadays it's different situation, but that's why and as a queen mother, he has a really special place in God's family, and that's why she's so favored, and Catholics refer to her.
So let me ask you this, though: if you can get Mary to intercede with you to Jesus, and she can handle just as many prayers as Jesus can handle, then why not just send it straight up the line to Jesus?
Because
is he a tough guy? It's a hard butt.
Maybe Mary's the receptionist.
Simon, go ahead.
I'm not sure.
Okay. I do appreciate the call, Simon. Thanks so much. 855-450-3733.
Did you know that Jesus was actually like a super giant, like huge, right? According to Catholicism? Well, think about throughout the history of all Catholicism, all the crackers that have been eaten, right?
Yeah.
Well, according to transubstantiation, those are all actually the body of Christ. So, I mean, if you put together the mass of all those crackers, Jesus would have to be gigantic.
Catholics are easy to take shots at because of things like transubstantiation, right? Like that's actually the body of Christ, and the wine is actually the blood.
It's a whole lot of body and blood.
Whereas, Protestants just think it's wine and crackers.
Symbolic.
Indeed. Let's go to Live Ben. Live Ben, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Hey guys, this is actually a libertarian banker.
Okay,
First
great.
time calling in on Skype, actually, figuring this thing out. But tonight, I wanted to comment on the show last night. You guys were talking about the Satoshi Nakamoto, the founder of Bitcoin, who has supposedly been found in Australia. And I'm with you, Mark. I mean, there's no way this is him. I mean, why would you want to reveal yourself, as the creator of Bitcoin? You saw what happened to this guy in Australia.
Yeah, just as soon as he did, he gets raided. I mean, the same day he's raided.
Exactly. And one question, I was thinking about last night during the show about Bitcoin is what happens if somebody dies and nobody else has the key to his wallet? Will those Bitcoins be forever locked in this man's wallet, never to be spent again?
Yes.
Is that not a very big issue for Bitcoin?
I think that what you'll probably find is when people have large amount of Bitcoins that they'll be, and Bitcoin is used more frequently than it is today. I mean, when you're talking about 21 or let's call it 12 million Bitcoins in existence, and they're worth $450 a piece or whatever they're worth, you're not talking about a lot of money. Just not that much.
Exactly, but over a period of time, as people die off and Bitcoins get stuck in wallets, that becomes
Hold the line.
issue for
Hold the
Bitcoin.
line. This is it's not like this question's never come up before. There are answers for it. 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. You're worried that Bitcoin's going to be destroyed by dead people? Free Talk Live.
Bitcoin.
Have you become a slave to big tobacco? Have they taken away your money, your health, and even your freedom, forcing you to stand out in the cold this winter? There's an alternative. With the help of Jimmy the Juice Man and GiantVapes.com, for less than the cost of a carton of cigarettes, you can make the switch to electronic cigarettes and take back your freedom. At GiantVapes.com, you'll find a selection of high-quality, reasonably priced electronic cigarette hardware kits to get you started, and a selection of delicious, premium, flavored liquid refills from the award-winning Jimmy the Juice Man brand. These aren't the junk you find at your local convenience store or gas station. Use coupon code FTL10 for 10% off your first order of hardware and Jimmy the Juice Man brand liquid at GiantVapes.com, where you'll always get free guaranteed same-day shipping. Break free of the chains of sin taxes and big tobacco. Free same-day shipping and 10% off from GiantVapes.com with coupon code FTL10. That's GiantVapes.com with coupon code FTL10.
My name is Bill Bonner, and I have an important message. Right now, the highest levels of government are struggling against an inevitable crisis, but they're about to lose control. When this happens, it will rip our country apart in ways you never imagined, from where we shop to the family you want to protect. Look, I've made predictions like this before. A few years ago, I warned that the housing prices would collapse. Before that, I warned that .com companies would crash, and they did. Those who listened had a chance to save themselves. But this has nothing to do with the stock market. This will affect us all. I've posted a free video at disappearingwealth.com. Maybe you'll disagree with my conclusions, but first you need to watch this video and see the facts for yourself. You can watch the video for free right now by going to disappearingwealth.com. Again, that's disappearingwealth.com.
If you're looking for work, or even if you're not, here's an innocent mistake you really want to avoid. Never return calls before listening to your voicemail. Your wireless phone sends calls you didn't answer into voicemail, and it shows you phone numbers for calls you missed. Important, don't call back callers you missed until you have first listened to your messages. Otherwise, you frustrate people who bothered to leave messages by asking them to repeat a message they just left as your voicemail greeting instructed them to. If you're a job applicant, this alone could be a deal killer. And even if you're not, there are few things you can convey to someone that are as fundamentally maddening as, "I didn't hear you." With money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important. For more tips for job seekers and everyone else, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
You can connect with the Liberty Radio Network via our Facebook page at facebook.lrn.fm. That's facebook.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Talking about this protest that's the series of protests that's going on in Vegas of these folks that claim to be Christians going off in Catholic churches, preaching their version of Christianity and telling the Catholic folks that they're all going to hell. It's Mark with you.
Daryl.
And Johnson.
So another thing that might end you up in hell is a sufficiently ugly sweater. And actually, I caught my co-host Ian wearing his Tipsy Elves sweater this evening because it's really a really warm sweater. They may be hideous, and they may be the center of attention at your Christmas party. They're really well-constructed sweaters at the same time. So I've got one that has Jesus on it, and he's got a holding a balloon and says "Birthday Boy." Darryl, can you describe yours?
I can try to describe it in a radio-friendly version. There are some reindeer that are making baby reindeer.
Yeah, that's what they're doing, exactly. And you can get some ugly sweaters by simply going to tipsyelves.com. And look at the huge display. They've also got onesies, too, there. If that's not enough for you, if ugly sweaters are not enough for you, you got onesies, too. And you get 20% off of everything that you order on the site at tipsyelves.com by using FTL as your coupon code when you check out. So you enter FTL as you check out. You get the 20% discount site-wide, tipsyelves.com. Like I said, you'll be the talk of the Christmas party. tipsyelves.com. Let's go back to Libertarian Banker, who is, he's worried that when you die, you may not... people may not have your Bitcoin codes, and your Bitcoins could be lost forever. And doesn't this mean that Bitcoin, which is already deflationary currency, could spiral out of control? Is that about right, Libertarian Banker?
Well, let me start by saying I've always been a huge fan of Bitcoin, and it's something that I think in the future has huge potential. I just, I think about these things and the issues that may come up, and that could be a big issue. I mean, because you're basically taking Bitcoins out of commission. Now, I realize you could, split the decimal basically to infinity.
That's a really important point. So each Bitcoin, and this is one of the things that I think is sort of the mistake of Satoshi Nakamoto, but I could be wrong here. Each Bitcoin actually has 100 million Satoshis in it. So inside of, call it 10 Bitcoins, you could conceivably, have enough money to handle everybody on Earth, maybe 100 Bitcoins.
Exactly. But another issue comes up with, the heirs of an estate or the settlement of an estate, somebody who may, owe a lot of money to different people, and that estate can't be settled. None of his debts can be paid. That might be an issue in the future, don't you think?
If you're taking enough time to write out a will, don't you think?
Exactly, but why would you pay your creditors in your will?
Well, that's one of the problems with paying creditors and wills and that sort of thing. I mean, if you've got a will that is, that has assets in it that aren't available to take, then it goes to probate, right?
And
well,
who's
exactly.
to say,
But the courts.
Wait. In the future, you're not going to be paying creditors out of a will anyway, it's not going to be a problem because there's going to be automatically enforcing Bitcoin contracts that are done on the blockchain. So in the future, that's not even going to be an issue because you die, and guess what? Your contract's going to be fulfilled anyway.
Oh, really? Did not know that. So there's protocol in the Bitcoin that allows
it's being built now
in perpetuity.
It's called color coins.
Yeah, color coins, and there's other things, but you haven't heard of this yet. So there's technology that's being developed right now that uses the blockchain to make automatically self-enforcing contracts.
And Brian Sovereign actually talks about this. Former Sunday night co-host has a podcast, Sovereign Tech, where he talks a good bit about what he calls the tyranny of the blockchain, that people are working on doing the thing that Johnson just said, to where you have all of these contracts, and you can't do business with somebody if your contract doesn't match theirs, and this and that and the other thing. And basically you're making a government and putting it on Bitcoin, and that is not freedom.
Contracts aren't freedom?
Yeah, well, if it's voluntary, absolutely.
Right.
Well, this is the argument. This is a old argument, as old as sort of anarchist thought.
As old as time.
I mean, it is just not. I am not interested in having our contracts or freedom. The argument.
No,
yes.
Voluntary contracts, yes. But if there's some entity that exists that let's just say the group of programmers running the blockchain say nobody can do anything unless, then basically you've got to sign these end user agreement, whatever, blah blah blahs, and then you're just replacing one set of government with another, but it's voluntary.
All right. My hat is black, so let me. I will summon my inner triple black here and play devil's advocate for.
I thought you were going to say you're a referee,
Mr. Sovereign, and I will say here, or actually, Dr. Sovereign.
When did he get his doctorate? When did he get his PhD?
He doesn't, but he calls himself doctor. Anyway.
All right.
He's got a doctorate.
Does he?
From the ULC.
Oh God. So anyway, he's with
Universal Life Church.
I think he has to keep up with the lovely and hyper intelligent Dr. Stephanie Murphy,
who got her PhD from Dartmouth.
Right. So to summon my inner sovereign here, I would say, well, should you be able to get drunk and then sign yourself into slavery? Because that's an argument that he'd make. So, let's say you get really drunk, and then there's a contract where you actually are signing yourself into slavery for, let's say, 5 years for a slice of pizza. That would be a voluntary contract, but
I can't imagine you'd keep a storefront open that would signing people into slavery for a slice of pizza.
I would hope.
No, but let's say it's just two people to get together, and one guy thinks it's hilarious and writes up a contract, and the other guy's so drunk and he signs it.
I'm in. Okay, I'm there. We're going to have things called arbiters. They would do the job of judges.
Not if it's a self-enforcing Bitcoin contract.
How would a self-enforcing Bitcoin...
I don't know.
Okay. All right. That's enough for me then.
Yeah.
So the point is that Bitcoin, even if you die, your private keys, libertarian banker for your Bitcoin account, die with you. Absolutely true. There are people who have died with Bitcoins in their, that they had possession of, that those things no longer move. They're no longer useful. I don't know how many millions of Bitcoins are out of circulation, but I can tell you that many of the early Bitcoins that were mined by a person that we believe is Satoshi Nakamoto, who may or may not still be alive, have not moved from their original wallets that they were deposited in. So, I mean, at this point, Bitcoin's going along swimmingly, and none of us are really worried that suddenly Bitcoin's going to fail, because there are potentially 1 million Bitcoins are not really Bitcoins because no one can touch them.
Yeah, well, that drives the price up as the supply gets reduced.
Yep.
The price goes up. So
I predict this. Bitcoins will be something like bearer bonds, and they will be sort of the larger form of money. Maybe they'll be like gold, and then you hold them in possession, and they will be, there will be a better, faster, more nimble cryptocurrency that that somebody has more control of, or whatever, that has Bitcoins as assets. That's what my prediction is.
Fiat money system, huh?
Not something unsimilar to that. Fiat has has value. Your thoughts, 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE, Free Talk Live.
If you or someone you care about loves outdoor adventure, then check out slingbow.com for some unique holiday gift ideas. That's slingbow.com, where we have some innovative new products for the archer, hunter, or bow fishing enthusiast in your family. Now through January, use the promo code HOLIDAY to get free shipping in the U.S. or Canada. And from all of us at Slingbow Industries, have a safe, joyous, and peaceful holiday season. So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
Free Talk Live.
I have a license. That means you're protected. That's nonsense. Just because somebody has a license doesn't mean anything about their business acumen. It doesn't mean anything about their ability to satisfy their customers.
It essentially means that they paid the state money.
And
that's
jumped through
it.
the hoops. Yep.
And filled out some paperwork.
Exactly. And that's all that the license means. But yet it has this aura of legitimacy to it. Oh, it's a license. And they paid some money to the state, and so therefore they must be a good company. It's absurd.
And absolutely. And what it does is it depletes the pool of people out there that would be doing business in that particular way. You know, that just can't get up the money to get the license. They can't get up the money to get the fancy vans and all that other stuff that's involved in being a contractor or whatever. I'm thinking of plumbers right now, I guess. And different plumbing jobs require different levels of skill. When you're talking about just a regular thing, why can't you have a handyman guy come in and do it? Why does he have to be licensed?
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate it 5 stars, then share the link on social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm. That's apps.lrn.fm.
Hi, I'm Derek J. I don't want a politician to represent me. To me, government is the idea that one group of people can coerce everyone to comply with an edict or face increasing punishments up to and including death. Despite perhaps the most noble of intentions, the best government services are a far cry from what could be provided for by voluntary interactions. Besides, the people who call themselves the government wage wars and put peaceful people in jail for crimes involving no victims. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. The number is 855-450-3733. We've been talking about these protests that are going on in Las Vegas of these Christians that are going into Catholic churches and preaching what they're preaching, rocking up and down the aisles while the priest is trying to talk. And, you know, we talk about a lot of different types of protests here on the air, and I'm of the opinion that humans just don't like protesters. They don't like people that rock the boat, and these folks are certainly no exception. It's Mark here.
Darryl.
And Johnson.
855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. Here's something you cannot protest about. Saving 15 to 40% on everything you buy from Amazon. Now, you can get your Christmas gifts, and this might be a good way to try things out because Christmas is coming at a certain time. You've got a little time to wait. That's basically, there's two catches to saveatpurse.com. Catch number one, you have to have a little time to wait, depending on the discount that you want. If you put in a 20% discount, you likely only have to wait potentially a few minutes or a few days, depending if it's a large item or small item. If you put in a larger discount, it could sit there for some time, just depending. You have to try it out, see what works for you. Saveatpurse.com. The other catch, you have to use Bitcoin. That's why I advocate for, I think this is the game changer for Bitcoin. One of the reasons that it's shooting up in value right now is people are saying, wow, I can buy the things I buy and I can get a 20 to 40% discount. Really, the discounts range in like from making a quick buy or whatever they call it there at 5%.
Instant buy at 5%.
Instant buy at 5% on up to 50%. I've never met anybody who got 50%.
It was an instant buy at 10% on Black Friday, I think it was.
Yes, it was. But Black Friday's over, so we don't have to mention that anymore.
Well, I'm just saying, if you have Bitcoin and
if you could travel back in time with your Bitcoins.
Or travel ahead in time, you can always...
I can travel ahead in time. I'm doing it 1 second at a time.
Exactly.
855-450-3733. It's saveatpurse.com. Let's go to Reverend Dim calling in from the Vatican. Should be interesting. Reverend Dim, you're on Free Talk Live.
It's the Reverend Dim Witt.
Oh, Reverend Dim Witt. Gotcha. Calling in about the Catholic or the protests in the Catholic Church.
Like the Almighty. No, that's not what I called in about.
No, okay. It says Holy Mother right here as your
but like
topic.
The Almighty Daughter, like the Almighty Dollar, Bitcoin is only backed up by the full faith and credit of the holder. And if the Almighty Dollar collapses, so will the Bitcoin market, and all you owners of such cyber currency will be all your value will disappear in thin air.
Extra trouble speaking tonight.
Yeah, I'm on the res.
On the Reds?
The res. It's where cell phone reception's really bad.
Okay.
It's Red Man Land.
Okay.
Anyway, Johnson.
I would much rather hear. Hold on. Dimwit, please, can you talk? Can you?
Reverend.
Okay, Reverend Dimwit, can you please address this idea of the Christians going into the Catholic Church and saying that the Catholics are all going to hell, and that their belief that that having all the iconography and their belief in Mary and that sort of thing is damning them to hell? Can you address that briefly?
Certainly, if I may just offer a prayer for peace. Speaking of the Holy Mother, Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for our sinners now and even at the hour of your death, Minister Mark. That's what Catholics do. They pray for sinners. But as far as
they seemed a little annoyed when they were like honking their horn, and when the protesters were at the school and stuff. They didn't seem like they were.
Yeah, I don't call them protesters. They're called scum.
Okay.
They're not Christians. Anybody that would go into a Catholic church and attract attention to them when people are trying to honor the Sabbath, they're not Christians. They're not protesters. They're scum. And for you to call them anything other than that means you're not ecumenical yourself, but you get a rise out of it because you love to bash Christianity.
Really? I brought this up specifically to be able to talk about how Catholics are sort of beaten up by the rest of Christianity, and somehow this is my fault. No, you can't.
No, I didn't blame
855. Yes, you did. I didn't blame you.
I know when I'm in areas of low signal, it immediately makes me start stuttering too. And I start replacing the word mother with,
855-450-3733. There's some really good news. Bernard von Nothaus, the creator of the Liberty Dollar, is apparently had his... he's not the only one who's got it out to the reservation. He has had his probation terminated.
Yes, the news came out yesterday. Bernard sent a email to his supporters, and he begins by saying, "For the first time since being arrested for counterfeiting and conspiracy on June 4th, 2009, I am off probation and free. earlier today, and this was from yesterday, December 9th. He says, earlier, Judge Richard Voorhees issued a court order for early termination of my 3-year sentence. So he was given 3 years of probation. The judge wrote, and I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I will read the relevant sentence here. He says, Bernard von Nothaus was sentenced to 3 years of probation, including 6 months home confinement. The defendant, who is now 70, has successfully completed 1 year of probation and his 6-month period of home confinement. According to counsel for the defendant, the U.S. Attorney's Office has been consulted and does not oppose the instant request. Likewise, the supervising probation officer did not oppose early termination, and he then says that the order is granted.
I do, of course, I am delighted that Bernard von Nothaus is not on probation. However, this is one of the strangest cases that I have ever run upon.
Yes.
So I'm going to take it all back here. Bernard von Nothaus creates an alternative currency made of silver. He had different types, but let's just focus on the silver Liberty dollar. It's a $10, and then it went up to $20, and I think then up to $50, and then back down to $20. But
Yes.
whatever, it was based on the price of silver at the time, so that was legit because silver did go up to like $47 or something like that. So it's this 1 ounce silver piece, and he was marketing it as an alternative currency that you can pay your debts with it, right? Like you could do business with silver coins or pieces of paper that
I actually gave somebody a ride down to a neighboring town a couple nights ago for 1 ounce of silver.
There you go. And it's not a
Liberty dollar,
It's
but
a
it
Sons
is
of Liberty mint dollar. It's an awesome piece, the 1 ounce piece that they've got, and it's beautiful. But essentially what he did there is he created an alternative currency. You could do business that way. You could settle debts. You could do a variety of things with it. The United States now. What made it different than a dollar, it did have like a $10, $20, $50 symbol on it.
Yes.
By the way, they did have paper notes that were backed by silver that they kept in a vault, but that's beside the point. It had like a telephone number and a website, and it said trust in God instead of God we trust.
Right.
So it had some significant differences if you looked at the piece. It was also gorgeous as opposed to the coinage. It didn't look like a coin. It didn't feel like a coin. So if you have a silver coin dropped in your hand, and then you have like a silver quarter versus a regular quarter, you can tell the difference in weight immediately.
Yes.
And he proposed this one part. It's called the drop, right, where you drop the silver into the person's hand and they can feel the difference. It feels weight. It feels like it has weight. It feels like it has gravitas to it simply by its weight. Now, the claim is that he had counterfeited U.S. currency, that because it had the Lady Liberty on it.
It looked too similar to a coin that the U.S. Mint put out like 90 years prior.
Yes, it could have been an ancient coin, even though it wasn't. And the jury went for it. I think there was something on both sides of the case, and we could make that argument if that's what we wanted to do. But I don't think there's any point in it. What happened was Bernard von Nothaus gets found guilty, and then Darryl, you probably know better than I would, but it was something like 2.5 years.
It was about 3 years after he was convicted, before he was sentenced to 3 years probation. He was facing 22 years in prison.
Right. So he's sentenced, and then he's found guilty, and then his sentencing doesn't come for 3 years. Who's ever heard of that? Bernard von Nothaus, off probation, free for first time in years. 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. Free Talk Live. Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. You can buy them through expresscoin.com with a check or money order. There are other ways to get Bitcoin, but that's fast, safe, and easy. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveatpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
Concerned about harmful contaminants in your water? Look to ProPure, the most trusted name in gravity water filtration systems. ProPure, with the silver-infused Pro 1 G2.0 filter, removes over 200 contaminants, including VOCs, heavy metals, chloramines, pesticides, pharmaceuticals, fluorides, and radiologicals. We don't just say it, we back it up. The Pro 1 G2.0 filter is NSF 42 certified and independently tested to meet NSF 53 and P231 standards. Pro Pure Water, the way nature meant it to be. Clean, crisp, and refreshing. Purchase with confidence in quality, performance, and customer service. Take advantage of our biggest holiday 25% off sale going on now. Visit your authorized Pro Pure dealer or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com. Or call 800-544-3533. 800-544-3533.
Due to an upturn in the economy, Main Street Business Loans has pre-approved the release of millions of dollars in small business funding. Your business may already be pre-approved to receive up to $250,000. We've sent out millions of pre-approval letters. We see the economy growing, and our underwriters believe now is the time to invest in your business so you can grow faster and make more money. And we're prepared to give you up to $250,000 to do it. Your funds can be available in 5 days. There are no application fees, no annual fees, just quick access to up to $250,000. If your business did not receive your approval letter to get up to $250,000, call Main Street Business Loans Approval Desk now.
800-430-4505. 800-430-4505. 800-430-4505. That's 800-430-4505.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phones, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Wednesday, gold is up $6 at $1,082 per ounce. Silver is 15 cents higher at $14.35 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $420 US. We have the lowest price Australian spiders and koalas I've seen on the web. If you find them cheaper, we'll match that price and ship for free. Give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. We are happy to say that Bernard von Nothaus, the creator of the Liberty Dollar, is free and off of probation. And
free at last, free at last.
Thank God Almighty.
He is free at last.
Yeah. I'm delighted because Bernard is such a nice guy. This was such a weird case.
Yes.
In what I called it in the last segment, the weirdest case I had ever seen, mostly because. And not that you had this strange counterfeiting claim, because I guess I'm kind of, it doesn't surprise me that you've got juries that will basically make any ruling that the court asks them to make.
Right.
The prosecutor asks them to make.
Find this ham sandwich guilty.
Well,
guilty.
Right. It's just like that, it seems. But they... in that circumstance, there was this weird counterfeiting thing. He makes this Liberty Dollar that doesn't look anything. Well, I shouldn't say anything. It doesn't look to a trained eye like a coin. It doesn't feel like a coin. It doesn't look like, U.S. currency. So,
well, there was also the paper currency too.
There was the paper currency, which looked even less like it, right? So, instead of being a long rectangle, it was a shorter rectangle. Instead of being,
and it was colorful,
right,
and
red, orange, yellow. Well, not yellow. They had green, but it wasn't the same color. Green, brown. They had a variety of different colors.
And they all had like the gold logo. The logo was like a golden embossed sort of
It was
thing.
a seal, yeah. I mean, you wish that the United States currency was as secure and gorgeous as that stuff. It's not. And they have to mass produce it, and that's all fine and dandy. But anyway, somehow or another, he was counterfeiting, making these things that looked.
I thought the big issue in the court case, one of the big issues, was the fact that he used the word dollars.
Yes,
it was. It was. He used the word dollars. He used the symbol dollars, which,
it
by
was
the way,
combination of the word dollar, the symbol dollar, the picture of liberty on the front of the rounds, and using a logo, or rather a motto that was similar. Trust in God instead of in God we trust.
And there was a video where he, used the dollar and said to the woman, it's the new $10 piece. And all of those things are legit that he says, but he doesn't explain to her that it's alternate currency. And I think that was the damning piece of evidence on it, because I can see how somebody, especially in the case of this woman, she was on video, so she was going to be, the actor. She's like, okay, thanks for the piece. I will go away. And she took the piece and everything was fine. Since people don't act the same on video as they do in real life, I don't know how I would have treated that piece of evidence. Nonetheless, the weirdest part was the sentencing. He was found guilty, and then it took them, and he was facing up to 22 years, and it took them 3 years.
You have a right to speedy trial, Mark, not to speedy imprisonment.
Right. 3 years on bail conditions, essentially.
We're going to sentence you now, but we're going to take away the years of your life after you're like 70 or 80 or so. That's what
it's weird.
We're just going to wait like 30 or 40 years to sentence you. I mean,
it's just strange. So he's sentenced to 3 years probation from the bail conditions, right? The bail conditions are kind of like probation. And then he gets 3 years probation and 6 months house arrest to run concurrently.
Yes.
So 6 months house arrest and then 2.5 years probation after that. And they don't give him any time served for the bail conditions, which would seem like for probation that would be fair, but I can see why they wouldn't do it, because they don't generally give time served for people out on bail, even though it was probation. It's weird. And then so he does a half a year on probation, and then half a year on house arrest, and then another half a year on probation. And then they get rid of he only does a third, which I find to be unusual.
Mm-hmm.
I could be wrong on that, but
it is rather unusual, but I think his age definitely played a factor in the judge going ahead and waiving the rest of the probation.
Did you get the impression the judge was just embarrassed about this case every step of the way? That's how
Yes.
I felt on it. Is the judge is like, well, found him guilty. Usually when I see court cases, the judges are, they're ready to hang the defendant.
I want to hang you, but the law says that I can only give you 3 years, so 3 years.
In this case,
you no good, rotten. I hope you die. Blah blah blah.
The judge seemed to have a great deal of affinity for Bernard and didn't do any of those things. But I guess he just sort of had to do what he had to do, and so it was really just an odd case in general.
And so, in addition to Bernard, having his stuff stolen and having this court case and being found guilty, all of the gold and silver that was in storage wound up getting seized.
Oh, that's convenient.
It's true.
So the court or government at some point said, okay, anybody that has one of these paper dollars can claim ownership over the silver or gold in the vault. They just have to jump through this hoop and hurdle. Well, apparently 265 petitions were approved in record time, according to Bernard, and people are actually going to wind up getting Liberty dollars. They're not going to be given, here's government money equal to the amount of silver that we think you have, they're actually going to be given the Liberty Dollars that they have the receipts for.
There was one guy who had this was during the Ron Paul campaign, as I recall, and he had ordered a bunch of Ron Paul, platinum pieces or some phenomenal amount of money, tens of thousands of dollars in an order that got snatched up. It was like made the order the day before Bernard got snatched up, and his money has just been sitting there. So I sincerely hope he's one of them. I do have a $1 Liberty Dollar piece, or not piece, but a paper certificate that I did file to get my silver on. I'm not sure how they're going to do that. I just did it to support Bernard.
Right. I think I might have one of those. I need to dig that out and file if I can find it.
I don't know if they can. I mean, what are they going to do? Shave off a piece for you? What are they going to do? Give you $1? Here's $1. Goodbye.
Do they have silver? I mean, I guess they
I don't think he had $1 pieces.
Yeah, I don't. Okay, but I don't know if I had one. I don't know if I have a $1 certificate. I might have like a 1 ounce certificate somewhere.
So there's a little bit more here from the email that Bernard sent out yesterday. He concludes by saying, "Words cannot express my sincere appreciation for all of you who took a stand for a value-based currency and supported the Liberty Dollar. My heart goes out to those who have been harmed or have not lived long enough to enjoy the blessings of their activism. Many, many thanks for your staunch support for the Liberty Dollar."
Yeah, I think Bernard's a class act, and he's quite a showman. And I'm really glad that this isn't going to, that he can now enjoy his old age. And I know what he was doing before he got snatched up was the Church of Marijuana out in Hawaii. Was that right? He could come.
I don't know if he was involved in that or not.
Oh yeah, he was. You could come and get a puff of holy marijuana and enjoy it. But anyway,
well, maybe he'll join the Church of the Invisible Hand.
He was. He's an amusing guy, and I'm glad that he's not sitting.
And we got to meet him over the summer. He was at the Porcupine Freedom Festival in Lancaster, and we actually had him on the show.
Yep, I've met him so many times that it's getting boring now. I mean, he's just. I met him.
That's the only time I've ever met him.
Yep, I guess Ian and I first met him. I think it was 2004, and it was a big deal. You got to consider that before Bitcoin, pretty much the only thing was Liberty Dollar. There were a few things like I think eGold and a few other sort of online currencies, but nobody really made I guess Liberty Dollar would be what I would consider the most successful alternative currency to the U.S. dollar, inside the United States prior to Bitcoin.
Yes, I would agree with that.
And that made Bernard a superstar in some areas. There were a lot of people that were, they were distributors for the Liberty Dollar, and they were going around to businesses and getting people sort of enrolled in the Liberty Dollar. They had little stickers, Liberty Dollar accepted here, especially I think in like North Carolina and places like that. They were very successful in doing that. Now, one of the tricks of any
Liberty Dollar was Bitcoin before there was Bitcoin.
It's true. One of the tricks to making a successful alternative currency is to get the customer use, adoption from the customer side and adoption from the business side to coincide, and then build from sort of novelty to ubiquity.
Yes.
Once you can make that happen, then it's successful. Now, that's a trick. When you look at alternative currencies, there's a few out there that kind of fly under the radar. Coupons are a form of alternative currency. You can bring, for a $3 item, if you have a coupon for that item that's 50 cents off, you can bring $2.50 and that piece of paper and trade it in for that item.
Fiat!
It's not fiat in the sense that was another thing is Libertarian Banker just previously had called alternative currencies fiat just because they're issued by a person. That's not exactly the way it goes.
Fiat technically means by decree.
By decree of a ruler. So if a ruler doesn't issue it, it's not fiat. 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE Talk Live. Are your kids spending too much time online? Are they gaming instead of doing homework? Are they on Facebook instead of sleeping? Turn their internet access on or off when you want for free at webcurfew.com. 100% web-based interface means nothing to download, install, or configure. Web Curfew is free and controls any device using your home network without slowing down your internet. Block all adult web content with the click of a button. Don't let the internet raise your kids. Take back control of how and when your home internet is used for free. Visit webcurfew.com.
Currency is too important a thing to be left in the hands of government bureaucrats, especially when billions of dollars can be created with the swipe of a pen. Overstock.com supports the cryptocurrency movement because it returns the power of an inflation-proof form of money to the people where it belongs. Did you know that you can use Bitcoin to pay for anything Overstock.com sells while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more? If you support freedom and the cryptocurrency movement, you should support Overstock.com.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com. The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are 1. Share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2. Buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3. Give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love. But make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene and the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Thursday, December 10th, 2015. Silver is trading at $14.17 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,072 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $419. Antiwar.com reports, though the Iraqi military is continuing to insist they're achieving a quick sweeping victory over the Islamic State in the Anbar province capital of Ramadi, Secretary of Defense Ash Carter suggested they would likely need help from another U.S. escalation to finish the job. Carter told the Senate Armed Services Committee that the U.S. was prepared to send attack helicopters as well as to embed advisor ground troops into Iraqi units invading the city if Prime Minister Haider Abadi approves of such moves. Such approval would be difficult for Abadi to grant as he is facing growing disquiet from the number of ground troops already present in Iraq, and the military's claim to have everything in hand, despite likely being bluster, would make it difficult to justify the move. On Tuesday, Iraq's military claimed to have captured 60% of the city and pledged to have the rest in short order. The reports on Wednesday have not suggested much new territory taken and have emphasized celebrations by the troops over the territory already gained. In the wake of the tragedy in San Bernardino, American Muslims have come together to give back in an inspiring way. Housed on the crowdsourcing platform LaunchGood, over $164,000 has been raised in only 5 days for the families of the 14 dead and 21 wounded San Bernardino victims. In the words of the organizers, we wish to respond to evil with good as our faith instructs us. Donate at launchgood.com/SB. Reuters reports a U.S. federal judge dismissed a request by Texas shortly after it was filed on Wednesday seeking a restraining order to block the imminent entry into the state of 9 Syrian refugees, saying the evidence presented was largely speculative hearsay. This is the second attempt by the government of Texas to seek immediate court help to halt the refugees, with Texas saying the U.S. government had not met its legal obligation to consult with local officials about the resettlement. The Texas action came after the U.S. Republican presidential presidential frontrunner Donald Trump touched off a global firestorm by saying that Muslims should be denied entry into the United States. The results of this case could determine whether the governors of more than 30 states will be able to go through with plans to bar local resettlement of Syrian refugees. A previous attempt for a temporary restraining order was dropped last week by the Texas government. The move came hours after the U.S. Justice Department filed a brief at the U.S. District Court in Dallas, saying the federal government and not the states sets U.S. policy on immigration. After the November 13th attacks in Paris, for which the group the Islamic State claimed responsibility, Texas Governor Greg Abbott was one of the first governors to seek to block on security grounds the resettlement of Syrians into his state. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports as a Friday deadline looms for Congress to get a new spending bill passed and avert a government shutdown, lawmakers are trying to push that cutoff to the middle of next week. On Wednesday, House Appropriations Committee Chairman Hal Rogers introduced a measure to postpone the deadline until Wednesday, December 16th. The House and Senate continue to work towards a new omnibus spending bill to fund the government and avoid a shutdown. On Tuesday, House Speaker Paul Ryan indicated that lawmakers may not be able to get it done by Friday when funding expires. President Barack Obama said through a White House spokesman that he is open to extending the deadline for a few days to allow lawmakers to finalize a deal, but nothing beyond that. Part of the delay in getting a new spending bill passed is due to the riders tacked onto the $1.1 trillion bill. White House Press Secretary Josh Earnest said the president is not going to sign a piece of legislation to give them more time to negotiate on a set of ideological riders. Those riders should not be part of the process. Lawmakers are expected to vote on the stopgap measure Friday, just hours before the midnight deadline. Congress was supposed to depart on their annual holiday break on Friday, but passage of the spending bill might require lawmakers to delay their travel plans by a few days. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
During a curt Skype session earlier this afternoon, local Williamsburg resident 29-year-old Cormac Flanagan reminded his mother to, quote, try and be more careful after she forgot to pay his cell phone bill.
Mom, the phone company called today about my cell phone bill.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I completely forgot.
No, Mom, I'm not mad, but you have to stay on top of these things, you know.
I know,
You can't keep waiting until the last minute like this. Well, I don't want to have to keep reminding you every month. You know, I need my phone. I use it every day. I need my phone. I'm constantly using it.
I'm so bad. I'm really sorry. I'll get on it today.
All right, you know, just so you know, this really easy thing you can do. You know, there's this online auto pay. It just deducts in your bank account every month.
Yeah,
quite easy.
I know.
Okay.
I know.
It's fine. Just don't let it become a pattern. You know, I know you can do better than this.
Okay. I promise. I'll get on it today. Okay.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. It's the live Thursday night edition with Mark,
Darryl, and Johnson.
The number's 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. We have covered a few topics this evening. There's some Christian protesters going into Catholic churches in Las Vegas and preaching, well, that the Catholics are going to hell, basically. That's their thing. And this is, I pointed out some historic situations of this occurring, and it's in history we can kind of look at things a little differently. But plenty of Christians were doing this to plenty of other Christians in the past, and probably Christians doing it to other religions in the past. And it's kind of an interesting thing. We talked about Bitcoin and Bernard von Nothaus, the creator of the Liberty Dollar, being free. But wanted to talk to you about, I guess, Barack Obama has signed free-range kids legislation. Johnson?
As of today, yep. Today is the day that Obama has signed the Every Student Succeeds Act. So today he was signing into law the first federal free-range kids legislation. An amendment added by Senator Mike Lee, a Republican from Utah, states that nothing in this act shall prohibit a child from traveling to and from school on foot or by car, bus, or bike when the parents of the child have given permission, or expose parents to civil or criminal charges for allowing their child to responsibly and safely travel to and from school by a means the parents believe is age appropriate. A caveat adds, nothing in this section 10 shall be construed to preempt state or local laws. So there's still a little wiggle room for states to criminalize parents.
So preempt. So there may be some. By that terminology, does that mean any laws that are already in existence?
Yes.
Or does that mean no laws that can be created in the future?
I think it's any laws that are in existence already.
Override.
Existent. Yeah, it won't preempt the laws that already are on the books.
But this is only one provision of this entirely long piece of legislation.
Right. It was an amendment that was added.
Completely horrible.
Yeah, it was an amendment that was added to to some legislation, and it's just the first little bit of free range kids legislation that Obama maybe accidentally signed into effect today.
And this is okay. So yes, this act that he signed in is undoing some of the provisions of No Child Left Behind, which was also awful. So knowing what's awful and what's not awful is basically this is politics and it's sausage making and it's hideous. I don't disagree with any of that, but I think it's for one, this is only covering kids going to and from school. So if, for instance, you want to let your kids walk to the park, that may not be appropriate. I mean, right. Still the government agents get to decide that. I think that since when I was 6 years old, I was riding a bike on what my mom called the Big Road, which was 55th Avenue West in Bradenton, Florida, or Bayshore Gardens, or wherever you want to call it. And we would come off of the dead-end street we lived on onto 55th Avenue to go over to 19th Street where my friend was. And I'd ride my bike over there. And she wanted me to walk my bike. And I did that probably for the first week. And then after that, I just ride my bike. I don't care. And somehow, at 6 years old, that was completely normal and okay. Kids my age, older, riding their bikes up and down 19th Street. And it was just fine. No one thought anything of it. But it seems like now 6, 7, 8-year-olds riding bikes unattended.
Oh my God!
On streets? Are you kidding me?
They're gonna die.
Like that's what it seems like. We're being approached this issue.
Well, what was the one story that we covered here a while back about the kids walking to the park that could be seen from the house?
Yeah,
and the cops wound up getting called, and the kids being taken in for like 3 hours.
Yep, kids were taken. Parents issued citations for kids being in a park that they could be observed out the window.
So, well, unfortunately, that little clause was added that nothing in this section 10 shall be construed to preempt state or local laws. So that adds, unfortunately, wiggle room for states to criminalize parents who trust their kids to walk to school or sleep through them doing this on their own. But according to Lenore Skenazy, who wrote this article, it's still a great start. And it says you can find the law right there on page 857 after 856 absolutely riveting pages of other clauses and subclauses.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Let's go to Dustin calling in from North Carolina. Dustin, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind, sir?
Hey, guys. I did an interview a couple weeks ago with an imam in Florida, because I'm the editor of Muslim American, and actually called about it, but we got sidetracked a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
And this guy is, his name is Sheikh Mohammed Shafayat, and he's the director of Al Hikmat Institute in Florida. So he's actually kind of an important figure.
What does Al Hikmah mean?
Hikmah is like a potato.
Okay.
But it's an institute of they produce Islamic literature and educational materials and stuff like that. And he in this interview, we're talking about how the Muslim American community has to evolve beyond just coming out and we condemn terrorism, because nobody cares. Nobody cares.
Apparently,
apparently,
what I hear all the time is why don't the Muslims come out against this? And I'm like, okay, how many videos do you want to see of Muslims coming out against this? That's not good enough. They're not coming on Fox News and doing it.
So I want to tell you what he says in the interview, and I'm going to try to keep it concise. He says, condemning terrorist acts is a normal thing. The statement has no effect. People just get up and say, we condemn, blah, blah, blah. It's too much of a norm and has no effect at all. Why are we even apologizing for something we're not doing? And then he says, based on everything that the scholars are saying worldwide, ISIS is clearly not acting Islamically. They're not practicing Islamic principles, and their actions don't represent the Quran and Sunnah. So the course seems very clear. It's time for Muslims, leaders, organizations, and nations to call for jihad against ISIS.
Now, jihad means one thing to Americans and means something entirely different to Muslims, right?
Well, there's two jihads. There is, the jihad that, as a Muslim, I do on a daily basis, and that's just a struggle against my own internal desires versus
what Christians would call the war against the flesh,
Exactly.
Subjugating the flesh.
Exactly. That's what the greater jihad is. The most important jihad is the struggle between the spirit and the flesh. But there's also the word jihad just means struggle. So when we talk about declaring a jihad, it has to be against somebody that fits the Islamic guidelines of an oppressor. So what he did here, what Sheikh Mohammed Shafayat did, is he basically identified ISIS is an oppressor, and as Muslims, we have to fight the oppressors.
Well, I'm sure that some folks will be delighted by that. I think some others are probably going to dismiss it.
Yeah. Well, our buddy Will Coley said, and I interviewed him for this article too. He said, "Look, you can't bomb an idea out of existence." And right now, ISIS has become an idea, and it has mutated to this thing that's just sprouted legs and hairs and ugly things all over the place.
Well,
and
a lot of Americans are afraid of some Muslims out there, a handful of Muslims, and it doesn't take too many to converting to ISIS's ideas and then going and doing things like this government employee did, I guess last week or whatever it was, with his wife, and they decided to go on a shooting spree.
I also think that you can't bomb an idea out of existence is kind of patently untrue. I mean, that's exactly what Nagasaki and Hiroshima were all about, and very successfully bombed the idea that the Japanese were going to beat us out of existence.
Yeah, Nagasaki and Hiroshima was basically about, we spent all this time and effort making this big bomb. Let's see what happens.
I think it's a little more than that. I think it was to show the Russians that, hey, look, this is what's you're next.
Yeah,
to some extent what that was about. But I think there's an argument.
Not that I think it's a good idea or a good action. I'm not.
They broke their will.
But yeah.
But
I agree.
Nonetheless, Dustin, thanks for the call. Appreciate it.
Actually, I want.
Whoops. Oh well. 855-450 free.
Hard breaks.
It's always
we don't
tomorrow.
have a choice.
855-450 free. Free Talk Live. That's 855-450-3733.
Bloated belly? Gas? Acid reflux? You could have pounds of rotting, rancid, toxic gunk clogging up your gut right now. And with all the processed food we're exposed to today, it's no wonder why. Fortunately, there's New Biotics, our first ever gunk buster for cleansing that toxic gunk out of your body. And right now, we're giving away a free trial to anyone who calls the following toll-free number, 1-800-983-2573. Strict limit of 1 free trial per household. With pounds of toxic gunk clogging up your gut, it's no wonder you don't feel good. Made with natural ingredients, New Biotics is our first ever gunk buster scientifically designed to unclog your gut and cleanse that gunk from your body, flattening your belly and combating periodic bloating, excess gas, heartburn, and acid reflux. But hurry, call now for your free trial of New Biotics while we're still giving it away for free. 1-800-983-2573. Call now for details. 1-800-983-2573. That's 1-800-983-2573.
Do you have difficulty taking supplements? Are you searching for a high-quality, complete nutritional drink that your whole family will love? NutriMedical's Life Support has arrived. All of your daily nutritional requirements in one quick, delicious drink. Dr. Bill Deagle's Life Support is a proprietary blend of vegan protein, activated vitamins, essential minerals, amino acids, probiotics, green tea, digestive enzymes, anti-inflammatories, cancer prevention, detoxification, and much more. Your body will high-five you for this one. Life Support is the best complete nutritious meal replacement on the market. Whether you are an elite athlete, have post-operative challenges, chronic illness, elderly, or a family that just wants a quick, delicious drink, try Dr. Bill Deagle's Life Support for optimized nutrition in one great tasting smoothie. Just add cold water, almond milk, fruit, or anything else you like. NutriMedical's Life Support. Try our great tasting chocolate or vanilla today. Call 888-212-8871 or visit us online at NutriMedical.com. NutriMedical.com for the whole family.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
You can listen to Free Talk Live on the radio, podcast, satellite, webcam, and our live streams. But did you know you can listen to Free Talk Live from any phone, anywhere? Add this number to your phone, 213-493-0308. It's a long-distance call, so make sure you're familiar with your phone's calling plan. The Listen lines are airing the latest episode of Free Talk Live 24 hours a day, including our live shows. Call 213-493-0308. That's 213-493-0308. Ross Ulbricht was convicted in early 2015 of running the infamous Silk Road Underground Market. The Silk Road was a gift to humanity and helped reduce the harms brought on by drug prohibition. For this good deed, Ross has been sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Now, an appeal is Ross's only chance, and he needs your support. Please visit freeross.org, where you can contribute via various methods, including Bitcoin. Visit freeross.org. That's freeross.org.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
Free Talk Live. Talking about apparently Obama in this gigantic bill that has disemboweled no kid left uneducated or whatever whatever the hell it is. There's a provision that kids can walk home from school now. Is that basically what's going on here?
But we don't know if they can stop at the park. Left behind.
No child left unindoctrinated.
This is the Every Student Succeeds Act.
Yes, but the Every Student Succeeds Act, to some extent, undoes some of the provisions of No Child Left Behind.
A couple of provisions. It enshrines other provisions.
Right.
Indeed. It certainly does many of those things.
Put food on your family.
Put food on your family. I can't remember.
I dream of a future where people and fish can coexist peacefully.
Fool me twice, shame on yourself. Something. Liberty.
The question is our children being learned?
Can you spell potato? Liberty
P-O-T.
Liberty Forum is coming up February the 18th through the 21st here in New Hampshire. Beautiful Manchester, the Radisson Hotel. It'll be beautiful because It'll be covered in snow.
Hopefully not.
Maybe.
We're supposed to have a mild winter because El Nino and polar vortex don't like each other.
So far, it's been like ridiculous. It's like, well, let's go outside and go for a swim. I mean, it's been ridiculous.
Yeah, it has been
warm this year. I mean,
we've had mild winters. I've had a couple of Yankees that are sort of from here that say it's 2 bad winters, then 5 good ones, then 2 bad ones, then 5 good ones is the pattern, which of course has to be broken at some point. But we did have 2 bad ones at one point.
I mean, there was that snowstorm that was like in October. I think it was the first year I moved here. And I mean, it was ridiculous. There was like 3 feet of snow on the ground at the 1st of October. It melted and
it was
went
31st.
away.
Yeah.
Came back. But I mean, it was ridiculous.
It did go away. Absolutely. Yeah. It's at the Manchester at the Radisson Hotel. And I guess you really don't have to say anything besides this about the Liberty Forum. There'll be lots of speakers there. You can go to Liberty is you can go to freestateproject.com/Liberty Forum and check out the speakers list. But they're going to have Edward Snowden. Edward Snowden is going to be speaking. He won't be there in person, obviously, because he'd be hustled off to jail relatively quickly.
But the little Snowden bot will be there, right?
They're gonna have his hologram there, right?
They're gonna have him
like
up
Tupac.
on video, and maybe they'll have the little robot. That'd be awesome. NHLibertyForum.com. It's NHLibertyForum.com. Get your tickets while they're cheap. This is a really low-cost event if you forego the meals. Many times the meals are great. I'll often get seated as one of the celebrities, and sometimes people want to sit with me, and sometimes, they're going off and sitting with other folks. And honestly, I'm chasing around some of those other folks too because I find them more interesting than me. NHLibertyForum.com. Come see Edward Snowden.
I hope
like
the
that
Snowden bot walks around the vendor area
It'd be great.
and communicates with people. And
I think it'd be great if
videos.
it's like the South Park episode where they have the hologram and then the feds all show up and they're trying to shoot the hologram, but they can't.
I hope we can get an interview with Snowden. That'd be awesome.
That would be good.
Yeah, so there.
Snowden bot on Free Talk Live would be amazing.
Bring me up to date on this. The No Child Left Undoctrinated.
I just realized that right before we talked about the interview with Snowden, we were talking about whether or not at Liberty Forum there would be Snowden.
They would be snowed in. Yeah,
Snowden.
So,
okay, sorry. Don't jump aside.
Obama is in fact a libertarian and wants our kids to be able to freely walk to school.
Well, no, Senator Lee is apparently Senator Lee who put this. Mike Lee. This
among the best in as rated by the National Republican Liberty Caucus.
Yep. So he put this clause, this free range kid legislation, or he put this clause in this bill, but he actually didn't end up supporting that bill.
What?
He didn't end up supporting the bill itself, but he did send a message to Lenore Skenazy, an email expressing enthusiasm for the free range kids clause. He said, "Our amendment protecting parents who allow their kids to walk to school is definitely a silver lining. Unsupervised moments are a huge part of how children learn, grow, and build the skills that prepare them for the rigors of citizenship and the adventure of adult life. America faces great challenges today. Kids walking to school with their parents' permission is not one of them." And Lenore follows up to say, "No kidding. So if any of you work in state politics, now is the time to bring the issue to the attention of the legislature to make sure that state laws do not criminalize parents who put trust in their kids the way our own parents trusted us when the crime rate was actually higher. Yes, it's weird that we have to have a law that lets parents parent, but a lot of kids will be back outside once their moms and dads don't fear arrest for allowing the most normal, healthy, time-honored childhood activity to proceed."
I would say a lot of kids will, but most kids, I still think that they're held inside because of fear. Their parents have just watched too many movies.
Oh my God!
They're
putting razor blades in the apples that they get out at Halloween.
Petrified. But I gotta say, as a parent, as the only parent in the studio here, well, I guess that's not true. Darryl, you do have a child, isn't that right? Terribly sorry. As the the only parent that lives with my child, I don't know how to properly raise a kid. I don't know what age my son Jack is appropriate to stay by himself. I mean, he's in rooms by himself all the time, and they haven't caught fire. He hasn't carved his initials into the wall. I as a parent, I'm watching these things occur. He seems competent. But then again, I'm probably not the best judge. I thought, hey, he's a baby. He's sleeping. He'll be fine. Let's go out for a walk. And my wife's like, no, no. So So
what? He's a baby. He's not going to light any candles.
Right. Well, that's the thing. Candles.
He
it's
doesn't
adults
have
that
the hand-eye coordination to flip the lighter.
You want to know who burns down houses? Smokers burn down houses. Adults with candles burn down houses. Ladies cooking burn down houses. Guys playing with wood stoves burn down houses. Kids playing with matches? Not very likely. And there's no matches at my house.
You've got lighters.
Yeah,
I don't know.
but
I was
he can't
going
flick
to,
a bic.
I was going to raves until like late at night in 6th grade. So,
Yeah, neither are you appropriate to talk about this. And that's the difficulty here is that once we try to get together on the right age to do the right things, it gets very difficult. I saw a primer or just a piece of paper from, I think it was Chicago Today or Chicago Live or something like that, and I think it was from 1978 or 9, and it was talking about the skills that a first grader should have. So you're talking about a 6 or 7-year-old,
right?
And they should be able to walk, I believe they said, 6 blocks home without supervision. I cannot imagine for a second parents who are parents of a child that is my age. I know what age we're talking about here because that's my age of a child, allowing them to do such a thing. My son doesn't do that.
Right.
And it's, he doesn't go to school, so the difficulty is I try to encourage a little more independence, but frankly he doesn't want to go to the house. It's cold right now. So it's hard to know. And if you let people sort of democratically decide, then folks are going to defer to the most fear-mongering individual. At some point we're going to be like, well, until you're 18 you're just not allowed to leave the hermetically sealed bubble. And that's it. I mean, kids have to grow and learn and take risks and do a variety of these things. Don't you agree? 855-450-3733. Or do you disagree? 855-450-FREE.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
By now you know that wireless technology like cell phones do in fact pose dangers to the health and privacy of everyone. Block-It Pocket's wide range of products are unmatched in providing the protection you deserve. No scare tactics, just common sense. BlockItPocket.com offers quality American-made options to alleviate and eliminate these invisible dangers. Learn more at BlockItPocket.com or call 888-315-9618. BlockItPocket.com, enhancing health and privacy.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. Did you know that you can listen to and watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cam at cam.freetalklive.com? Not only that, but you can also chat with other listeners at the same time. Do I need to mention that both the studio cam and chat room are totally free? Outside of Free Talk Live's live hours, you won't see a cam feed, but will hear audio from the Liberty Radio Network. So listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. I know this sounds unbelievable, but at my house, we saved as much as 45% off of a new item on Amazon. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. It's Mark with you.
Darryl. And Johnson.
855 450 free. You think kids? What I have a difficult time figuring out from this legislation. Barack Obama didn't help me out. At what age can kids do what? Do you have some help there? Because I think I had a BB gun at 8 years old.
Yeah. When I was like 5 years old, I would ride my bicycle from Eastlake Park in Birmingham, Alabama, a place that I would not walk now unless I was armed in some way. But when I was like 5 years old, me and my brother would ride our bicycles from Eastlake Park to the Burger King, like half a mile away, across First Avenue, and go through the drive-thru, and then ride back with bags of food.
And now they won't let you take a bicycle through the drive-thru.
Yeah, one of the managers wound up yelling at us and called the concession stand that my dad ran at the park and said, they're not allowed to ride their bikes through the drive-thru anymore. They're holding up traffic, even though there was nobody else in line.
Well, wait a second. Your dad worked at a concession stand?
My dad owned
a concession stand, and you were going to a fast food restaurant?
Yeah, because he sold chips and drinks.
Okay, so he didn't have like burgers or anything like that. Okay, that was a little confusing for me there.
Chips and drinks and candy bars.
All right, well, there you go. So, if you've got some clue as to how one determines what age kids can do things, other than just sort of leaving it up to the parents, because, obviously some parents are going to mess it up.
And my question on this whole, they can walk to or from school, is this the same sort of thing like the you're on some sort of house arrest thing of you can drive to work and you can make a brief stop if you need to, but you can't stay too long? So, like, how long are they allowed to? Can they deviate off of the standard path? Can they stop at the park and ride on the swings for 3 minutes, but not 5?
I mean, when I was in elementary school, right across from the elementary school was a Woolworths. That'll date me.
Yeah.
And we used to go, like, during a break, during the middle of school, walk, down from this town, like,
You could leave school, or you just did?
I don't know.
Okay.
I think we were allowed to, because I don't remember ever getting in trouble for this, but we would go to the store and we would buy candy, because we could. But it was like going through town, to do that. It's just a thing. I mean, it's crazy.
Immigration is a huge topic right now. It's a great time for David Hathaway to put out his book, Immigration, Individual versus National Borders. There's a huge disagreement in the sort of liberty community as to how immigration should work in a free market
Sounds
world.
like this guy's suggesting that Donald Trump should build a wall around himself.
There you go. Build your own wall. And I think that this is a book that would be valuable. This is a book that would be valuable to anybody who has immigration on the mind. One way or the other, whatever your thoughts are, immigration, individual versus national borders, will give you some education on the subject. It will give you a different view on the subject, and it's worth reading. You can get your copy of Immigration, Individual versus National Borders by David Hathaway through Amazon, and get it either as a print or Kindle form. Obviously, you can go through saveatpurse.com and do some savings if you buy it on Bitcoin. Immigration, Individual versus National Borders by David Hathaway. So, there, Manhattan Man, to be distinguished from Florida Man.
I want to bring something up because we brought up this whole Florida Man thing. So,
Florida Man.
I made the joke that we we should just look at FARC and filter it by the Florida tag. And I
FARC.com.
FARC.com, which is a news source. It's a
news aggregator, one of the first news aggregators.
It's one of the first news aggregators. It predates dig.com. It predates some of these other social news media sites. It's moderated by a group of dedicated fans of FARC.com and
it's
Drew
just
Curtis
funny.
himself. And it's very funny. And we used to actually have Drew Curtis used to be a regular
contributor,
guest, a featured guest on Free Talk Live a long while ago. But one of the tags of types of stories on FARC.com is Florida, just because Florida just seems to be such a magnet for weird news stories.
Yeah, seems to be.
And so I just have to cover the very most recent title to the Florida tag.
Okay.
The last Florida tag story was, "Let's put rubber snakes out everywhere to convince people to catch wild pythons." Was apparently something said at a planning session in Florida.
Florida Man.
Florida Man.
Manhattan Man is in fact suing the Metropolitan Museum of Art in the city of New York for what he considers to be anti-Semitic, racist, offensive artworks on display at the museum. Well, what are these horrifying things that you're talking about? Justin Ronnell Joseph, who lives in Midtown, filed the suit in a New York federal court on November the 30th. He claims several paintings, including The Holy Family with Angels by I should have practiced this ahead of time. Sebastiano Ricci are...
Sebastiano Ricci.
There you go. Thank you. Are racist because they depicted the historical and public figure of Hebrew descent, Jesus Christ, as a blonde-haired, fair-skinned, Aryan adult male.
So hold on. If he's suing over racial insensitivity, why is he not using the Aramaic name for Yeshua HaMashiach?
Yeah, Ben Yosef. I who knows? Who cares? This is a crazy person that's trying to derail. How folks just find a news story and it's like, oh, I'm going to turn this into something that's important to me, and that's what's going on here. Obviously, this is a gorgeous work of art, and you can make it mean whatever you want. I make it mean that, wow, here's a beautiful teenager who happens to have wings on their back, looking at the Holy Mother, who clearly is a white lady.
Is she also depicted as a teenager? Because
no.
Historically, she would have been very young.
Yep, and holding a beautiful cherub-like baby, and I'm not sure what the old guy with the book is doing in back, but nonetheless, he's back there.
That's Joseph, apparently.
Joseph, not old either, but
even though they actually didn't have books as we think of them, they had scrolls.
So in the suit, Joseph describes himself, Joseph having a more biblical name than Jesus in this case, describes himself as a 33-year-old biracial male of Hebrew and African descent. He claims he suffered emotional and psychological harm from exposure to the artwork.
I've suffered emotional and psychological harm from exposure to knowledge of this lawsuit. Who do I sue?
I've suffered emotional and psychological harm by going in and somebody didn't flush the toilet, right? I mean, whatever.
This
is nonsense. Well, I mean, could he do that if he found this at the museum? It's ridiculous. So there's your story. I think this is proof that some people just shouldn't be able to file suits. Who cares? Who cares?
Well, apparently even Google doesn't think this is relevant, because I tried Googling because I wanted to see this painting. So I tried Googling blonde Jesus and MoMA, because of the Museum of Modern Art, right?
Yep.
And instead, what the first result I got was "Yo mama so old" jokes.
No, what?
Not related. So
this
no,
is one of the
apparently
problems with using the smartphone things. Is you got to put in swipes and stuff, and you just don't want to type as much. I can, I don't know how many words a minute I can type, but I'd bang that out. And
I didn't mistype it. I typed MoMA, M-O-M-A, but for some reason it still just wanted to give me "Yo mama so old" jokes.
Well, you can search for Sebastiano Ricci, and I'm sure you'll find some gorgeous paintings, because this is clearly a talented individual, making beautiful works of art. But, tell me out there, Free Talk Live listeners, the most cantankerous listeners in talk radio, can you tell me why it makes sense for this guy to have filed this? I mean, Johnson, do you defend this? You, as our resident atheist, we keep you here. We feed you hamburgers through a hole.
What am I defending?
That suing the museum over these works of art that he claims he suffered emotional and psychological harm from exposure.
I think this guy's a complete and total idiot because he went to the museum. If you don't like it, don't go, you dummy.
But I've at some point or another.
Oh my God, I saw something I didn't like. Ah!
You're going to be exposed to pictures of white Jesus running around, right?
White Jesus.
Well, he's white Jesus.
White Jesus.
I mean,
he has David. Oh, no.
Praise white Jesus.
855-450-3733.
David Alago.
It's 855-450-FREE. Free Talk Live. Somebody defend this.
White Jesus.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the new Healing Our World is a great gift this Christmas for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
Are you searching for your soulmate? Someone you can trust, who will never betray you? Or cooperate with the NSA? Stop searching. With EasyDNS, you found a keeper. EasyDNS does it all. Domain names, web hosting, and managed WordPress hosting. EasyDNS stands up for your internet freedom. And with servers in Canada, they do not cooperate with the NSA. Go to EasyDNS.com. You'll love their services or get a full refund. They guarantee it. And they accept Bitcoin. That's EasyDNS.com.
Concerned about harmful contaminants in your water? Look to ProPure, the most trusted name in gravity water filtration systems. ProPure, with the silver-infused Pro 1G 2.0 filter, removes over 200 contaminants, including VOCs, heavy metals, chloramines, pesticides, pharmaceuticals, fluorides, and radiologicals. We don't just say it, we back it up. The Pro 1G 2.0 filter is NSF 42 certified and independently tested to meet NSF 53 and P231 standards. Pro Pure Water, the way nature meant it to be. Clean, crisp, and refreshing. Purchase with confidence in quality, performance, and customer service. Take advantage of our biggest holiday 25% off sale going on now. Visit your authorized Pro Pure dealer or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com. Or call 800-544-3533. 800-544-3533.
Money, power, and respect are all yours at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Be seen as an industry leader. You can do it. The last application you filled out when it was time to hit submit, did your nerves spike? You didn't get the approval you seek, but there's a better way. We teach you exactly what to place into the right systems the right way the first time so you get approved. Get up to $100,000 in instant business credit. Many people will get cash on the spot. Use those two tools in your new corporate credit engine so you can walk into the bank and get your project funded today. It's all about today at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Credit Success Secrets Revealed is explosive and ignites instant results. Dial 1-800-707-8719. That's 1-800-707-8719. 1-800-707-8719. Or just go to CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate it 5 stars, then share the link on social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm. That's apps.lrn.fm.
SWCPoker.eu is Bitcoin Poker 2.0, where players can buy chips, play, and cash out anonymously with Bitcoin. No banking, just Bitcoin. Texas Hold'em, Omaha Hold'em, Draw, and many new games, including Chinese poker. SWC Poker gladly accepts players worldwide, and over 2 million hands of Bitcoin poker have been dealt at SWCPoker.eu. Bitcoin poker from the brand you trust. SWCPoker.eu.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. You know, you've got Christmas holiday shopping that you're going to do. I want to encourage you to do it through shop.freetalklive.com. We've got links there for Amazon, Walmart, a few other retailers, and we get a little spiff if you go through shop.freetalklive.com. It's an extra click. I know it's an extra click. You type in shop.freetalklive.com, and then you got to click through, but when you do, we get the credit for it. It's shop.freetalklive.com.
Tenth of a calorie, people. 10th of a calorie.
It's a 10th of a calorie. You can afford it. And his campaign to make himself, so crazy sounding that people don't vote for him, but he's unsuccessful in doing that, Donald Trump has now said that he's going to vow to issue an executive order to mandate the death penalty for anyone who kills a police officer, showing clearly he does not understand how separations of federal and state power work.
Or, as I'm sure Trump said it, the death thing for those people that get those police guys.
Right.
We're going to do it. We're going to make America great, and this is how we're going to do it. We're going to build a wall, and we're going to make Mexico pay for it, and then we're going to kill the people in ISIS, and we're going to make them build their own bombs. Because that's what you do. You make people build the mechanism that kills them. And so we've got this war on cops, right? So people are killing cops. So what we're going to do,
we'll put them up against the wall. We're going to put them against the wall, and we're going to shoot them.
We're going to shoot them, and I'm the worst thing that's ever happened to bad guys.
Yeah,
and I've got friends that are cop killers, and they agree with me 100% on this.
I'm an organizer. I'll organize the people that shoot cops.
I'm excellent at building things, and I'm going to build the best cop shooter killing machine ever.
He doesn't even understand the vast majority of law enforcement officers in this country are employed by states, therefore completely immune to his magic executive orders he's going to toss out there. The state of, I don't know, pick a liberal state. Vermont does not have to execute people who kill cops just because you say it, Donald.
We're going to make it a federal law to where it doesn't matter where you are or who you work for. If you have a badge and it says police officer on it and somebody kills you, that's a federal crime.
Yeah, it's nonsense.
Imagine Trump being
Mark Edge, you're fired.
I'm totally imagining Trump being like, these law enforcement people, these guys, they're very hardworking guys.
Yeah.
Just nonsense, the stuff that he says.
I was really rooting for the eagle. Did you get to see the video?
I haven't seen it. I've seen the screenshots. I haven't actually watched it.
I saw the GIF.
See the little video of the eagle trying to chomp his hand when he reaches towards it. He got his hand out of there pretty quick, didn't he?
This eagle is sick. It's an illegal.
Illegal.
And we're going to deport him.
I think it was trying to nest in his hair.
He would just take his hair and fly off of it.
That's an eagle noise. So Trump referenced the 2014 shooting of 2 New York City police officers in their squad car, which prompted sufficient outcry from some conservatives accusing President Obama of fostering resentment against police officers. So it's somehow police officers getting shot, and it's thanks Obama.
Thanks, Obama, for having this war on cops. I don't know why people are upset at cops. The cops are just doing their job, shooting people's dogs, choking guys out for selling cigarettes. That's what they're hired to do. I don't understand why people are upset about it.
Yeah, I mean, why would anybody in New York want to shoot cops when cops are stopping, anybody who's brown, young, and male, and shaking them down? I mean,
it's their constitutional right. They've got the right to do the Terry stops and the stop and kiss.
Maybe you've heard that police officers are now stealing more than robbers and criminals from people. Well, let me tell you, when I get in office, that's going to look like nothing. We're going to have the best guys stealing all of the things. It's going to be twice as much theft as it is now. We're going to have the richest police forces on the planet.
I want to let you know, the police and law enforcement in this country, I will never let them down, he said. The job they do and the job you all in this room is second to none. And the job all you in this room do is second to none. And everyone in our country knows that. They know it. Yeah. I thought this guy was a parody at one point. And it's like the parody gets sicker and sicker and weirder and weirder.
I think the parody would be that Trump would be like, he would get into office and he would say, these guys on Free Talk Live, they're terrible at impersonating me. We're going to have the best Donald Trump impersonators replace them on Free Talk Live.
I hope
when
they
I get
do.
into office.
I hope he says I hope the words Free Talk Live come out of his mouth.
I would wish to get deported, but then I don't want to be subject to Donald Trump's American foreign policy.
I would say something like, if Donald Trump gets elected, I'm actually leaving the United States. But I don't want to make Donald Trump the arbiter of when I leave the country. And I'm beginning to believe, I'm seeing the polling numbers, and I'm beginning to believe that Donald Trump may be the Republican nominee. And he polls sufficiently from Democrats. Hell, he is a Democrat. He's the most popular Democrat running. That he may very well be able to pull this off. The Republicans that refuse to vote for him and say vote for a libertarian or some other, third-party candidate or something like minor party candidate or something like that, well, they'll do it. But he can pull from the Democrats enough that I think he could potentially beat Hillary. I don't think the Democrat has a chance in this election.
The question
besides
is,
Trump.
I don't think it has anything to do with Hillary. I think that Bernie could potentially pull it off too.
I think Bernie could pull it off against Hillary, but do you think he could pull it off against Trump?
I don't think so.
Because, Trump is working this populist thing like you wouldn't believe. He's just come out and said, hey, you know what? The cops, they're better than the rest of us, so we got to make sure that everybody gets the death penalty that kills a cop. Because, God knows these knights of truth and justice that go around have killed 1,400 people last year in this country, but, police officers in other countries don't do anything like that. Our guys, they have it tough out there, so we got to kill people.
All I know is if it comes down to...
Our killers are better than everybody else's killers.
All I know is if it comes down to Bernie and Trump, it's going to be the battle of the horrible accents.
Yeah, there's just a bunch of them out there. Well, for us...
It's called the rigged economy.
For all of us doing a terrible job at them. Because there's so many New York accents. I can't...
Is Bernie, is that a New York accent? What is his accent? It's just horrible, whatever it is.
I don't know.
It's that weird New England thing. It's that weird New England thing where it's the worst of the Boston and the worst of the New York.
And he also sounds like
together.
He has his nose plugged at all times.
He has a little bit of sort of a Jew accent to him, too.
Something. I don't know.
What?
What? That's my impression.
It doesn't sound anything like that. I don't know. Well, Mel Brooks could do better than we could. That's for sure.
Yes.
Nonetheless, I don't know.
It's like a bagel with some smear on it. Delicious.
Trump spoke for a brief 5 minutes after the group's endorsement, and this is the who was he speaking in front of? Cops a Go-Go, the New England Police Benevolent Association. Jerry Flynn, the executive director of the association, hasn't been shy to weigh in on politics before. He called for officers to boycott a speech by President Obama at a Boston Labor Day rally celebrating unions in September, accusing the president of standing idly by as officers were attacked. We're talking about an epidemic, and the president of the United States has blood on his hands, he said. So there you go. It's Obama's fault that police officers are being shot. Has nothing to do with, the war on cops has nothing to do with, I don't know, maybe an out-of-control executive in this country?
Well, this is one of those sort of weird things, right? To where whenever, quote-unquote, your party does something, it's the greatest thing ever. Anything bad that happens, like Reagan's a great example of this. Anything good that happened when Reagan was president was Reagan, give all the credit to Reagan. Anything bad that happened,
Tip O'Neill.
Ramping up the drug war and a bunch of other horrible stuff, that's all the Democrats' fault. But the good stuff, so it's the same sort of thing here, to where, the good stuff, give the credit to the Republicans. The bad stuff, blame Obama.
I've heard people go after, I haven't heard, Reagan is clearly responsible for the drug war in the sense that Nancy Reagan was the say no to drugs gal, right?
Just say no.
But there was a 60% increase in spending under Reagan, and I don't see how people could, the Reaganites out there can defend that. I used to be a small government Reagan guy. He's got some really great quotes, but the way he ruled versus the way he talked, they're different things.
Yeah.
It's because it's a rigged economy.
Check us out in the meantime at freetalklive.com, newly designed website. You're going to love it there. You can post news stories, videos, blog posts, whatever you want. freetalklive.com. Check out our Facebook page, facebook.freetalklive.com.
Thanks, Obama.
Understanding your credit score is the first step towards managing and improving it. This is Charlie Sundstrom with your Van Dyke Mortgage Minute. The most influential component of your credit score is your payment history. Almost equally as important is the amount you owe on credit accounts. Also impacting your score, but to a lesser degree, are the length of time you've utilized credit, the number of new accounts, credit inquiries, and your various types of credit accounts. To help achieve or maintain a healthy credit score, have a system set up to assure your bills are always paid on time. Don't max out your cards. It's better to have a high credit limit with a low balance. Never close old accounts. The age of these can actually help your credit score. But don't be afraid to use your credit. You need several accounts in order to have a credit score. Just keep the corresponding payments within your means. For your mortgage pre-approval and refi needs, start by visiting VanDykeMortgage.com.
Corporate NMLS 3035. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Charlie Sundstrom, NMLS 134251.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Wednesday, gold is up $6 at $1,082 per ounce. Silver is 15 cents higher at $14.35 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $420 US. We have the lowest price Australian spiders and koalas I've seen on the web. If you find them cheaper, we'll match that price and ship for free. Give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
The latest episode of Flaming Freedom is next after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network, LRN.FM.
From Keene and the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Thursday, December 10th, 2015. Silver is trading at $14.17 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,072 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $419. Antiwar.com reports, though the Iraqi military is continuing to insist they're achieving a quick sweeping victory over the Islamic State in the Anbar province, capital of Ramadi, Secretary of Defense Ash